2, 1.
These people subscribe to you?
Was that a bit rough? It's a little rough, wasn't it? Yeah, you know what happened? My apologies for the very, very rough intro. Here's what happened. I put my earbuds in after I had started the stream, and then my computer picked up the earbud signal, and I went to switch the audio, and as soon as I did, then my screen froze. So I could hear everything, but then I was also hearing things that were on the actual broadcast that I forgot to turn on. So it was a whole thing, right? But I think the really important part here is that
these people subscribe to you?
Some of them actually do. It's amazing. I'm in constant amaze that happens. So is Josh, actually. He's he for this entire time was just operating on the assumption that that I broadcast into like an empty garbage bin, and he was humoring me this entire time. So hi Vish, how are you?
Hi. Well, I'm not exactly coping well with the proliferation of pollen in Los Angeles right now. It's jacaranda season, which is gorgeous, but also it's making my sinuses cry. So everything smells delightful, but as soon as I am like, floral scent, oh no, I'm going to sneeze and my eyes are going to be itchy and watery and I'm going to be tired and not feel good. So yesterday I went into the Huntington Library, which is in Pasadena or San Marino if you're feeling technical. And I got approved for my research credential for their library. And I was very excited about this. And I spent several hours in their basement going through some things that I've been looking for. And came home, compiled some of my notes, and I have been cooking hypotheses about old manuscripts. Not these that we're going to talk about. These are much more recent than the Dead Sea Scrolls. But I'm very pleased with some of my work so far. Because if it pans out, maybe I'll publish it.
Brilliant. Wow, that's super cool. I'm very excited about that for you. I'm gonna do a thing here. If you wanna keep talking for a bit.
Shawty's written no notes.
Excellent. So I learned about this thing, and I need to get in the habit, in the practice of doing this.
Hey,
but I
Joel's
can
here.
actually,
He's here for a few minutes to see how Usha's surgery went. We're waiting for the call. Entertain and distract me now. Joel.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Thanks, Joel, for popping in.
Hey Joel, here's some entertainment for you. I went in to get some transcripts from an Inquisition manuscript. I promise this is going to be a good story and not a bad story. And there is a letter that has a bunch of like phrases and single words written on it that people haven't been able to make heads or tails of. And as I was going through it, I was noticing that it doesn't actually seem to be mostly Portuguese, as a couple of scholars have hypothesized. I was going through and listening or reading through and consulting an old Spanish dictionary and an etymological book. And it seems to me that most of it actually is Spanish. It's just they're using, Luis de Carvajal is using some archaic forms, I guess, just because he felt like it, or maybe he was educated that way. And I found a reference to what I believe is Penuel from Kings and from the famous Jacob wrestling, the Malach Adonai story.
Nice.
So
Nice.
in Spanish, he writes it out Penuel and then Rose, R-O-Z. And I was like, these aren't Spanish words. What is happening? And then my Ladino brain kicked in. And I was like, oh my gosh, you dork. He's transliterating a Hebrew word, Rosh. So when you have Penuel and Rosh together, I think he's referring to the story in Kings, because one of the kings actually made Penuel his capital for a while, fortified it and made it his capital. So I'm like, maybe he's like
That's cool.
organizing info in his brain to remind himself of texts that he's read and studied. This guy had an amazing memory. He knew entire blocks of scripture in Latin. You could just prompt him and he would start rattling it off because he was very highly educated. He's one of the standout figures in the Inquisition manuscripts because he was so educated and he did a lot of writing. So I'm trying to go through and see how he's kind of figuring out information in his head, because it's not like they're going to give you a copy of the Bible to read while you're in the Inquisition jail. So he might just be, reminding himself of scripture passages and poems and things like that. So we'll see. But that one got me really, really hyped because I had to flip my Spanish brain off and I was like, wait a minute. I have to remember how people are transliterating, because he's transliterated other Hebrew words and phrases and entire prayers in his memoirs and things like that. So, yeah, pretty stoked.
That's so cool.
Whoops.
We're very
Joel
excited.
says that's called a paper for sure.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah, we'll
So,
see.
Excellent.
Nerd stuff.
Now, yeah. I was noticing some other things in the comments here. Proverbs 4:20 wishes that John
see what you
Allegro
did
was
there.
here to defend himself. But
People had these
I mean,
criticisms of him while he was
he's-
alive, though, right?
oh my God. The thing that delights me so much and confuses me so much is the hold that the legend of John Marco Allegro continues to have on people, because he was not he just wasn't a great scholar. He really wasn't very good.
I mean, after that initial bit of publishing, I think he started out
no.
okay.
Like, no, I mean, even yes, like, but here's the problem. He had an enormous amount of potential, but if you exhaust his publishing record, not great. It's full of popular books and very, very little academic substance. The big one, the big publication, the academic publication that he had was Discoveries in the Judean Desert of Jordan, volume 5, which was published in 1961 or 62, I believe. I'm gonna get the date wrong on that, but geez, I mean, the book, it was almost retracted. It was full of so many errors that there was an accompanying supplement that was published to it by Strugnall, John Strugnall, after the first couple of years. That was 110 pages long in a journal. One of the longest journal articles that you'll ever encounter is Note
For a
Maj.
journal, that's like a freaking novel.
And that's all it is a series of corrections to DJD. Like, honestly,
ouch.
he was not a great scholar. And his work is, especially the stuff that Proverbs is talking about, is just shit. It just is. There's nothing of value there.
Big Zebra's asking why I'm wearing a lumberjack shirt. Listen, I grew up during the grunge era, so I love flannel. I'm not gonna try to lie.
I was wearing mine when I was walking in the woods today. with the abomination.
Nice.
Proverbs also wants to point out that whoever can't see mushrooms in the King James version is frankly blind. They're everywhere in
really
the King
care
James
about
version.
the
Who the
James
fuck
version.
cares about this English translation from
Yeah.
the late medieval, early Renaissance?
Find it
Like,
in the Hebrew or
serious-
the Greek or
yeah.
the Syriac or
Just-
the Targums.
fuck
Then
off,
we'll
right?
talk. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not there, then no. Proverbs, you do not know what the hell you are talking about, because you don't know the first goddamn thing about my field, about the Dead Sea Scrolls, about early Judaism, about Christianity. You don't know anything. So it is
But
a
I mean,
good thing you're here so that you can learn something.
learn some stuff.
I don't know the first thing about you, but I am confident in all of that.
I'm also confident in that, having read at least some of your work and whatever we talk about on these streams and whatever's in your catalog. So turns out, aliens are all over the Bible if you go looking for them. Selection bias is a
you
hell
can
of a
find them.
thing.
Sure it is. All right. Before we
Do you want
jump
to tell
in here, and
people
I'm
about
really...
your accident really quick, because they've been asking in the chat?
Oh, is it been... so listen, I will... people should tune in tomorrow for Budget Scripture Saturday at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. Because if... we're not going to show any pictures today. But if people are more interested in the story of my finger and want to see pictures, we may or may not see those tomorrow night. So go ahead. What did you want to say? Did you want to tell the story?
I just am... I'm still processing the fact that you posted that photo like unspoilered, and I wasn't prepared to see
I'm sorry.
mangled flesh and muscle.
Listen, I will apologize first of all, Vish, right at the outset for doing that. I am sorry. In my head, in my head, I was like, should I spoiler tag this picture? And
Yes.
I decided I will know for the future now, but I decided no, and I'll tell you why I decided no. I decided no because I watch movies with you and Dapper all the time, and half of them are like bloody flesh fests.
It's not half.
Deliciousness.
It's not half, and also we know those are fake. It is completely different when you are watching real life injuries, because those don't look like the movies.
That's true, and this certainly does not look like the movies. So for those who are curious, on Monday afternoon, I'll preface this first by saying that I am the father of 3 wonderful boys, young men at this point in their lives. They're all over they're all over 20 years old now. One of them has actually moved all the way out of the house. 2 of them are still here, but as the father of boys, they were teenage boys at one point in time, and while they were teenage boys, I just decided I am no longer filling holes in the walls and the doors. I'm just not doing that anymore. Not until you guys are done kicking and punching holes in the walls and the doors. Or and maybe that's not until you move out. So I mean, fortunately, that it is the time now. One of them has moved out. The rest of them stopped punching holes in the walls and the doors. So there are 3 doors to 3 bedrooms up here, and I decided I'm going to replace them. So I bought some door slabs, and I'm a biblical scholar, damn it. I'm not a carpenter. So I purchased, but I do doubt. My father, instilled within me the expectation that if I was going to own a house, I damn well better know how to fix the house most of the time. So I do a lot of things that I consider fairly easy and straightforward. And I'll look at projects and go, yeah, that's easy. I can do that. So that's, I was, I bought
the
door
fool's
slabs.
errand.
And then I bought, kits for cutting the hole, the door handle hole, and then a template for doing the inlay for the hinges on the new doors. Cut all the holes, the circle holes in for the door handles, and then it came time to doing, the hinge inlays, and I put the template on the door edge, following the instructions. I took out my router and I started it up, and I literally set it in there and went to start doing like my first carve into the door, and it caught the template and it skipped and it hit my finger, and I turned it off right away, and I looked at my finger, and there was just a sea of blood. And when I was able to kind of clear some of that blood away and got it under the water and then looked at it, I went, oh God, I hope they don't have to cut it off, because I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I've hurt myself a lot of times. I've cut myself all over the place. I have, I don't know, I've had, I think, over 20 stitches in my head. This is nothing new, but this was new. This was new. I was fortunate
I think the
that
depth of the wound is probably part of what made it so intense.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is very deep. I was
How
fortunate
deep is your
that
cut? How deep is your cut? You're
Well
gonna lose that finger. But you're not. You're not.
No, it's good. I can even move it. Look, it's wiggly.
Yeah.
I was fortunate that my son, one of my kids, was home. The one who's a third year nursing student, because I said to him, look, I'm like, I need help because I have no idea what to do. So he quickly, patched me up and sent me to urgent care. The nurse cleaned it up and looked at it and then booked an appointment for the doctor right away. And I had to come back in the evening, and I saw the doctor, and he cleaned it up and said, okay, we're going to put one stitch in it. And then he put the stitch in one. He put the stitch in, and the nurse and him were there, and she's continuing to clean the
surgery
the
went
blood.
well, heading over to ICU. Good. For Shlema to the little
We're
one.
very excited. Thank you for the update, Joel. So they put the stitch in. It's still bleeding like crazy, and this is, I don't know, 6.5 hours after the injury happened. Like it's just pouring out the blood. So they decided that they were going to add dissolvable sutures to try and stop the bleeding, and they kept on adding them to the finger, and they were going up towards the tip of the finger as they were adding them. The freezing was down here, so this was like the worst part, because with each additional stitch, holy shit, those hurt like a bugger, like a
you have so many nerve endings in your fingers.
Man, there's 6 in there. They put 6 dissolvable stitches in the finger to close up. So I'm on antibiotics. My doctor now has seen it. My own doctor has seen it twice.
I was right
back to see him this morning.
Antibiotics.
He says, it's going to take months to heal properly. He said that I have lost my fingerprint, which is kind of cool. So it's pretty great. So that's the finger. Some announcements. I want to do the announcements now, and I'll do them again at the end of the stream today. But a few things next week. I'm really excited about the upcoming week. It's going to be a different week in a lot of respects, and there's some juggling, some schedule juggling taking place here. So tomorrow is Saturday. It is the second Saturday of the month, I think. It's third Saturday of the month. But what this means is Budget Scripture Saturday is tomorrow. And I'm really excited about it because I have no memory of the last one. So make sure you come out at 7:00 Pacific, 10:00 Eastern. Dr. Tapioca Weasel will be back. No, yes, he was gone. What, was he gone, or was no? Nitty was gone. So Dr. Tapioca Weasel will be here. Nitty will be back. And we're gonna have a lot of fun tomorrow night. So on Thursday is an extremely busy day. Thursday, April the 23rd, is my 50-something birthday. For the third year in a row, we are continuing with my annual tradition of doing a special birthday stream here on this channel at this time. Before that, I'll talk about that in a second, but earlier in the day at 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be over at CJ Cornthwaite's community, giving a reading and a presentation to his group. I think it's his patrons and his channel members. But he's got a special group that he does these things for on occasion. So he's asked me to come out. The whole stream today came out of a reading that I did with him and his group 2 weeks ago, or last week, and I'm doing another one on Thursday. So on Thursday we're going to be reading the Aramaic Son of God text 4Q 246 from the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is pretty awesome, and it's closely related to many things that we're going to talk about today. If this is something that interests you, and if you've got some cash kicking around and you wanna hop on and join us, check that out. I'm sure CJ's got some links for that. And so yeah, go and do that. That'll be at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, at 2:00 p.m. Pacific on Thursday. We are having my special birthday celebration stream, and we are reviewing the recently completed PhD dissertation of Dr. Jordan S. Jones, host of the Bible and Archaeology, and the fabulous work that he let me actually pull up. I got to pull up the title here because I do not remember it offhand. The title of his fabulous work. I'm about a third of the way through it. This is my reading assignment for the weekend. The title of Jordan's dissertation is "The Forgotten Promise to Phinehas: The Reception History of Numbers, chapter 25, verses 10 to 13. There is this enigmatic figure who's not mentioned frequently in the Hebrew Bible, but looms very large in the memory of Hebrew Bible interpreters, and that is Phinehas the priest, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the high priest, Pinchas.
Something of a
in its
zealot.
proper Hebrew. Oh, a zealot, yes. So Jordan has written an innovative study on the reception history and on the development of traditions within this myth and this story and this legend as it grew over time. I'm very excited about it. We talked a little bit about it last night on Kiryat Ibrit because we started reading Numbers chapter 25. I encourage you, before checking out the stream next week, to go back and watch last night's episode of Kiryat Ibrit. Even if you don't read Hebrew, there's a lot of good stuff in there that you can pull out of that. So that's Thursday. It's going to be great. I hope you all come out. Because I'm streaming on Thursday, I'm not streaming on Friday. And also because I'm doing the birthday stream at 2:00 in the afternoon on Thursday, there will not be Kiryat Ibrit next week either. However, on Friday, I will be making an appearance over at BS Lewis's channel. I believe it'll be Friday evening. I don't have any times confirmed for that, but he sent me a text yesterday asking if I would come over and talk about Adam and Eve and get drunk with him, and I said yes. But then he wanted to do it tonight, and I said, oof, streaming this afternoon, probably getting drunk tomorrow night. I don't know about that. That doesn't sound like a great idea. So I'm not getting drunk tonight. I'm getting drunk next Friday over at BS Lewis's channel, and we're going to be talking about Adam and Eve. So that's what the week looks like.
Cannot remember the last time I had alcohol in enough quantity to become drunk. I can't remember because I just rarely drink.
I did it a week ago.
I know.
or sorry, 2 weeks ago. Less than 2 weeks ago. Yes, it was something. And I actually went back to look at the stream because I remembered like nothing of it. I've not watched. I'm not watching that one. I am not. How I will say this though, I did watch. I did remember doing the sobriety test, sort of. So I went back and watched the sobriety test, and I gotta say, Vish,
am I not merciful?
I think that was not a fair sobriety test. And
what?
I think I crushed it.
You did.
I'll say this. If you ask me to recite the Hebrew alphabet backwards right now, stone cold sober, I don't know that I would be able to do much better than I did in my near blackout drunken stupor. And that was something, but it was fun.
Yeah, I wasn't really interested in having you fall on your face in front of everybody. So in the interest of your dignity, I opted for like a neurological test rather than a physical coordination, as is often the case.
I appreciate your efforts at preserving my dignity.
That is, listen.
Somebody's got to do it.
Jew here, trying to preserve your dignity.
I probably won't. So, thank you for that. All right, so let's get into what we're doing today. Maybe before we do, we got let's do the super chats first. Yes. We got 2, and I hope people have questions and are really excited and interested in what's going on today, because I think it's super interesting. Tree Clam Tad for $2. Happy Friday, everyone besides Kip. I'll drink to that. Happy Friday, everyone besides Tad.
Oh, hey, you also have a Coca-Cola. Cheers.
Hey, cheers. So, and not that Coke Zero shit. They need to get on it. Coke.
What I really need to start doing is switching over to the kind that has real sugar, the Mexican Coke, not this kind of freaking corn syrup. Tastes better.
Oh, see, I don't even know. I don't even know if I have access to
It's always sold in glass bottles, and I just the process of recycling glass and getting rid of it's just a hassle. So
wow, yeah, anyway. Okay, that makes sense. Katie Lewis. Over at Nerd Church, people should go and subscribe to Katie's Nerd Church. She is approaching 100 subscribers, and she streams every Sunday, I believe, at 3:00 in the afternoon Pacific time, and goes through the Catholic liturgy. And from a critical perspective, go and check it out. It's pretty interesting. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Suggestions for resources on schools and education in ancient Israel. My special ed teacher brain looks at things like letter formation in manuscripts and sees something, and I have vibes. I need data. Yeah, you're on the right track.
Welcome to my world.
I will recommend a starting place, a starting point. One of my favorite scholars who's done a fair bit of work on this. There's some newer stuff coming out now that so I'll okay. So two places. The first one I will recommend is David Carr's The Writing on the Tablet of the Heart, which I believe was published in, I want to say 2005. It's about 20 years old now, and it holds up because Carr is just an incredible scholar. We're going to try and get him back here yet this year. But he's an incredible scholar. He's written pretty extensively about education in ancient Israel. That is pre-exilic Israel. There have been a couple of volumes published on literacy, language and literacy in later Second Temple Judaism, sort of early mid to late Second Temple Judaism. That would be Catherine Hedger's work and Michael Wise's work. Another book you might want to check out is Seth Sanders' The Invention of Hebrew. I think, when did Seth publish? I think he published in and around 2015. That book is University of Indiana publishers, I think. Those are two good resources, good places to start. But thank you very much for the super chat. All right.
Also, real quick, Victoria Macarius is asking what the word for special or holy is. Kadosh. Kadosh. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh.
Is there any good way to memorize it?
Local arts, photo. So yeah, Kadosh.
We'll probably spend some time talking about Kadosh today.
I have vibes. I need data. It's the basis of science, awesome. And a lot of history also, which is exactly the track I'm on.
So and
I had to go
and pseudo.
Yeah, and pseudo, but also it's like
no. I was gonna say, but you go first.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I need data. I had to go all the way to Pasadena into the bowels of this library to get a volume printed in 1935 that's nearly impossible to find, just to make sure that the guy's transcript was correct. Like, I have, I guess medium quality images of the original manuscripts, but I have to compare them because, considering the damage to some of the manuscripts, as Kip well knows, it could completely change a word if you're reading part of an ink blob or an artifact as part of a letter. So I have to make sure. Yeah. One of the few people on this earth that understands my struggle with examining damaged manuscripts.
Boy, yeah. Tell me about it.
Oh boy.
All right. So speaking of damaged manuscripts, today we're going to be doing a close read of 11Q13, 11Q Melchizedek, which is among the more famous, recognizable of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the reason for this is because when this manuscript was first published back in 1965, evangelical Christian scholars in particular went crazy, just because of how closely they think that this manuscript aligns to the Jewish expectations that seem to be reflected in the life, teachings, death, and alleged resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth. So it's a really interesting manuscript, and I think a good segue into this is from Katie's super chat and Tad's observation here. So maybe the difference between science and pseudoscience is that pseudoscience begins with vibes, and then they just go, it's good enough, I think, right? That's that's it, fine. Right? So and this is part of the story of 11Q13, 11Q Melchizedek. So I'm going to put this on the screen here because one of the things that I particularly appreciate about this manuscript is that it was really my interaction and my fascination with the pseudo historical work of one Richard C. Carrier that that stemmed from this particular manuscript. And he writes about 11Q Melchizedek in his silly book on the historicity of Jesus. And this is what he says. It starts here at the bottom of the page, and I've got it nice and big so everyone can see it.
Yay! I can
Sadly,
read
this
it.
is going to be the largest size fonts that we're looking at today. Everything else is quite
Looks
a bit smaller.
great.
So, but it does. So here is what Richard Carrier has to say about 11Q Melchizedek. Of the more specific notion, it always comes back to that motherfucker, doesn't it? Of the more specific notion of a dying Messiah, we also have other pre-Christian evidence. We have pre-Christian evidence of a dying Messiah, says Richard C. Carrier, in the form of a Dead Sea Scroll, designated 11Q13, the Melchizedek Scroll. This is an apocalyptic pesher, a document attempting to discover hidden messages in the scriptures by finding secret links among disparate and previously unrelated verses, which together communicate God's plan, and most commonly and certainly in this case, his plans for the coming Messiah, the defeat of evil at the end of the world. There are many such pesharim at Qumran, but this one tells us about the messenger of Isaiah 52 to 53, who is linked in Isaiah with a servant who will die to atone for everyone's sins, presaging God's final victory, which, as we have already seen, later Jews definitely regarded as the Messiah. Yes, you have a question,
I
Vish.
have so many questions. Question for you, just really, really quick.
Yes.
Is Isaiah 53 written in the future tense?
No.
Weird. What tense is that written in?
The past tense.
Huh. So it's probably not a prophecy.
No.
Do
you know what? There's another question. There's another question about Isaiah 52 and 53. Isaiah 53 that needs to be asked. With respect to this,
definitely regard this as a Messiah.
No. That's not even it. The basic question at this point is: was Isaiah 53 ever quoted or even loosely alluded to in the 11Q Melchizedek scroll? That's the question. The answer to that question is also no, not at all. Not at all. Is there a suffering servant in the 11Q Melchizedek scroll? No, not anywhere at all. And we're going to talk about it. So, but let's continue here. Let's finish reading what Carrier has to say. At Qumran, 11Q13 appears to say that this messenger is the same man as the Messiah of Daniel 9, who dies around the same time. An end to sin is said to be accomplished again, presaging God's final victory, and that the day on which this happens will be a great and final day of atonement, absolving the sins of all the elect, after which 11Q13 goes on, turn my page, to say God and his Savior will overthrow all demonic forces, and all this will proceed according to the timetable in Daniel 9. Thus, 11Q13 appears to predict that a Messiah will die, and that this will mark the final days before which God's agent or agents will defeat Belial, Satan, and atone for the sins of the elect. Yes?
I'm sorry. I heard a disturbance in the force as if Justin Sledge is crying out in pain. He just put out a video on Belial.
We should do a wellness check on
We
Dr.
should.
Sledge.
I should text him right now and be like, bro, I felt your psychic call. Are you okay? He's probably going to reply back, somebody's talking shit about Belial.
Here's an important qualifier. I don't think it's good enough though. Just because Carrier is so completely wrong about so much in this
Not all
amazing paragraph that I
this
just
or
read.
conceded it.
Not all scholars have recognized this in 11Q13 or conceded it.
Well, I don't see why I should reject it. I mean, find my idea.
I find no sound basis for rejecting it. I'll endeavor to prove it elsewhere, regardless of how one chooses to understand the text of 11Q13. We still have Daniel 9:24-27. I'll just stop it there. And we're going to be talking about Daniel 9 today. We're going to be talking about 11Q13 today. We're going to be talking a little bit about Isaiah chapter 61 and Isaiah 52 today. We're going to be talking a fair bit about Psalm 82 and Deuteronomy 32 today, because all of this stuff, it's very exciting. It all has it all plays in here to what is happening in 11Q13, and I'm going to load up the slides now and show you.
While you do that, Steven sent a $5 super chat. Hey guys,
thank you, Steven.
The Carrier is a little bit overconfident in things he is wrong about. Am I off base?
A little bit overconfident.
A little.
I might say like a whole fucking hell of a lot overconfident. But I think we're quibbling at this point, right?
But the thing is like his pattern is he'll say something as if, okay, this is my read of a thing or my opinion on a thing. And then he'll always leave a little escape hatch for himself. So if you try to critique him on the Melchizedek thing in Isaiah 53, he has his escape hatch of, well, even if you don't use that, I still have Daniel chapter 9.
Yep.
Guy.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff, right? Or he'll retreat to, I'm not saying it's exactly what happened, but it's possible, right? It's always working in these nebulous possibilities and probabilities in order to make an historical case. Unfortunately, Carrier hasn't done the work with the data. He hasn't done the work with the data. He doesn't understand the texts, and it causes enormous problems for him.
Kip, he reads people's work who do know the data.
Yeah. So, but believe it or not, guys, I'm not here to talk about Carrier. And we'll show a video from another creator just to sort of set forward a common and that's what Carrier is doing is reflecting a common, and I would say a very wrong perspective of this really interesting, exciting manuscript, which looks like this. So 11Q Melchizedek, 11Q13 is comprised of, I've seen between 10 to 15 fragments. There are 11 fragments that have at least some identifiable text on them. What you're looking at here is the largest collection of fragments which come from the second surviving column of the manuscript. You can see, and I'll just switch it here, on the infrared picture here. You guys can see my cursor, right? I think this is handy.
Yeah, it's kind of small, but
so
you see it.
let's embiggen it, shall we? That'll be helpful.
I specifically got an idea from you that I meant to tell you about. The manuscript that I'm working on, that I have these, hypotheses about so far as I work through translating it, is I want to see an infrared photo of the manuscript, because there's certain things like there's water damage that's kind of messed up some of the ink, and there's like aging and whatever else going on, but I think the infrared would help me out tremendously. So I just need to find out who has the physical copy of it and reach out to them and say, hey, is there a chance that you could do the thing? I know it's like super specific, but please, pretty please.
All right.
Pretty please.
I'm just turning off my chat. Everyone can see this.
Oh yeah,
now,
that's
right?
much better.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Isn't
there
that
you go.
great? So let's look over here. You guys, you see this? This is a column edge here, right? And here we've got, oh shit. Here we've got text that has been inserted into the margin, and you can see it's you probably can't read it because it's too small, but it continues from we know there's a previous column here. We don't have anything. There've been some fragments that have been suggested to belong to this previous column, but we don't know. What we do know is that there was a prior column. Here we have a fairly well preserved column that you can see that extends all the way over here, ends in this part here on this fragment, and then another column beside it. Maybe I will switch back over to to this view there, so you can see, and then you have a third column over here, right? So most of the juicy information all appears in this second column, formed by these two, or I think there's actually 3 or maybe 4 fragments in this grouping here. So this column has been there we go, has been reconstructed to a height of 25 lines. The column block measures 12.5 centimeters wide, which is pretty big, and 14 centimeters high. So it's a pretty square column block, which is also fairly unusual within any of the Dead Sea Scrolls. But this also suggests that this was probably a fairly substantial manuscript. We have very little left from this fairly substantial manuscript. The paleography for this, the handwriting, dates to probably the early 1st century BCE, and on the basis of some of the source material, this is a text that's already starting to recontextualize and reinterpret some things from the Book of Daniel, from stuff in the Book of Daniel that was written, in the 160s. So this is already within 100 years of that this is taking place. So this is what's this 11Q13 carrier is right is properly a pesher on the basis of the definitions that have been provided to us by Dead Sea Scrolls scholars. A pesher is a text that is engaged in explicit interpretation of prior scriptures. We know of pesharim, which is the plural form, from in the form of what are called continuous pesharim, where a chunk of scripture is cited and then it follows with an interpretation, and the interpretation of these texts is usually historical, and it's usually pertaining to things taking place within the lifetime of the people who are writing the text and to the people who, the text is being written. So this is a pesher, but this is not a continuous pesher. This is a thematic pesher, where a collection of individual snippets, phrases, sentences from a wide range of scriptures are being cobbled together, stitched together to create a new thing. And we'll see that illustrated as we read through the text carefully. It's pretty interesting and dynamic, the ways in which the writer is weaving together traditions of text. And the thing that excites me in many respects about this manuscript is that when I read some of the texts from the Bible that the writer of 11Q Melchizedek is drawing from, he's making me think, this is exactly how I would read this text. This text makes me think of this other text in the Bible, which I think is really cool. And he's smashing them. Well, that doesn't happen to me every time. But it's exciting when it does. He's smashing them together in a way that I would do it, right? So I like that when that happens. That happens very rarely. Well, last thing I'll say about this, and then we're going to, if you've got the video queued up, Vish, we're going to go into this next. This section of the Pesher has been divided into 3 parts on the basis of the texts that are being cited within it. The first part is from lines 2 to 9. The second part from lines 2 to 14. So that's according to who is that? Hold on, I have to pull up the source here. That's according to Eric Mason, lines 10 to 14. I disagree with him, and I think the second section probably ends in line 13, not 14. And then the third section, he says, is from lines 15 to 25. And at that point, I would say I think it also includes line 14. But we're going to get into this text, and the first thing we're going to do is look at a video. And this is a video from a guy named Joshua Pirzal, who I had never heard of before, like 4 days ago. And I found him just because I was looking for a prototypical evangelical Christian interpretation of 11Q Melchizedek, and I stumbled on his. It's very good. It's very good in the sense that he follows the ways in which evangelical interpreters have read the text, and he seems to have a fairly good grounding in some of the secondary literature, which I like too. So if Joshua ends up watching this, hi. But I hope that this helps you maybe to rethink and to carefully consider some of the ways in which this text has been misread. So what he's going to do, this is about a 10-minute video, and we're going to watch through most of it is him just reading the text, and I want people to listen, and we're going to go back and we're going to read it ourselves, but we're going to listen to him read it first, and then he's going to talk a little bit about some of the features of the text within his theological construct.
All right. Well, since it's an evangelical, everybody get your Jesus goggles on.
That's right. You don't even need them.
This is their own little superscription they've added to this. Is the figure of Melchizedek, the heavenly savior of those predestined to belong to him. And concerning...
Is it okay if I put this at 1.25?
Absolutely. Sorry.
Splendid.
What the scripture says, in this year of Jubilee, you shall return every one of you to your property. Leviticus 25:13. And what is also written, in this is the manner of the remission. Every creditor shall remit the claim that is held against a neighbor, not exacting it of a neighbor who is a member of the community, because God's remission has been proclaimed. Deuteronomy 15:2. The interpretation is that it applies to the last days and concerns of the captives, just as Isaiah said to proclaim the Jubilee to the captives. Isaiah 61:1. Just as, and the manuscript breaks, and from the inheritance of Melchizedek, breaks again, Melchizedek, who will return them to what is rightfully theirs. He will proclaim to them the Jubilee, thereby releasing them from the debt of all their sins. It's important to note, Melchizedek is the one doing that. He shall proclaim this decree in the first week of the Jubilee period that follows 9 Jubilee periods. Then the Day of Atonement shall follow after the 10th Jubilee period, when he shall atone for all the sons of light, that is the chosen of God. And the people who are predestined to Melchizedek, text breaks up, upon them, and text breaks up again. For this is the time decreed for the year of Melchizedek's favor. Isaiah 61:2 modified. They modified a fair amount of text, either adding commentary or sort of doing a Targum-style commentary there. And interesting to note there, and we'll get through this in our Messianic series, they are applying the prophecy of Isaiah 61:2 to Melchizedek. And by extension, the figure of the servant. And by his might, he will judge God's holy ones and so establish a righteous kingdom, as it is written about him in the songs of David. A godlike being has taken place in the council of God. In the midst of the divine beings, he holds judgment. Psalm 82:1. And again, just going to pause to note there, the author of the scroll, of course, but the Qumran Society is, and we'll get into this in a video soon, are taking the Psalms as messianic and seeing Melchizedek as a divine Messiah foretold in the Psalms. Scripture also says about him, over it, take your seat in the highest heaven. A divine being will judge the peoples. Psalm 7:7-8. Concerning what Scripture says, how long will you, and then they note this plural, you all, judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. Psalm 82:2. The interpretation applies to Belial, and Satan, and the spirits predestined to him, because all of them have rebelled, turning from God's precepts, and so becoming utterly wicked. Therefore, Melchizedek will thoroughly persecute the vengeance required by God's statutes. Note that language there, vengeance required by God's statutes. Although he will deliver all the captives from the power of Belial and from the power of all the spirits predestined to him, allied with him will be all the righteous divine beings. Isaiah 61:3. And here the text is going to be a little chopped up. The is that which, all the divine beings. Unfortunately, that's all it is in that particular line. The visitation is the day of salvation that he has decreed through Isaiah the prophet concerning all the captives. Inasmuch as Scripture says, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace, who brings good news. In the word there in the Greek for Isaiah is evangelion, is the word for gospel. Who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your divine being reigns.
Yeah.
Isaiah 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You know what
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
it's
say.
not. Well, yeah, probably the same thing I am. Importantly, no, it's not. It is not the Greek word euangelion. This is a Hebrew manuscript that long predates not just the writing of Paul's letters in the 50s CE. This is a manuscript that also predates the reign of the Emperor Augustine, who I believe was the one who coined the usage of this term, which is where Paul starts riffing in the first place. He is using a term that was common in Augustine's administration and kind of turning it on its head. It's an acceptable translation of the Hebrew word mibashar, which is the announcement, basically. But importantly, I feel like when you just make this equation without unpacking it, without unpacking the baggage behind this, it's misleading, right? It steers people's thinking in a direction that I don't know.
What's the Hebrew word or phrase for that good news that he's referring to?
It's mibasar. Mevaser,
says Jason. Okay,
yeah.
So let me simplify this for people who may not follow
bringing
along.
news.
The way that it's written is mevaser, which is in Hebrew, and his statement just now was, well, they translate that in Greek as evangelion, which refers to what we call the Gospels. Therefore, if A equals B and B equals C, then, well, the original Hebrew writers are talking about the Gospels, which is then Jesus. That's why we're taking issue with this. He's trying to make these leaps, and that's not how this works.
Just to provide some further clarification to this, the word that is used in the Septuagint of Isaiah 61 is euangelistai, which is the verbal form. This is a middle indicative. Sorry, no, it's a middle infinitive, an aorist middle infinitive from euangelizo. And euangelion comes from the same root, but it's not. He did say, I believe he said euangelion I'm pretty sure he said that, didn't he? I thought
Let's
I heard
go
him
to
say
the
that.
tape.
So
Good news.
It,
In the word there in the Greek for Isaiah is evangelion. Is the word for gospel.
No,
Yeah, no,
it's
so he definitely said
euangeliestai.
evangelion.
Yeah,
Evangelion.
euangeliestai. It's close, right? But it's not precise. Euangeliestai is the word in the Septuagint. All right. Let's continue. He used the noun. Yeah, thanks, Jace.
Yep.
That's
Okay. Also,
the very loaded noun.
where did I see the comment? There it is. Augustinus, a late antiquity theologian. So are you talking about like the Roman Emperor Augustus? Or are we talking about the theologian Augustine?
No. The emperor. Did I say Augustine? I meant to say Augustus. I'm
Augustine.
sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty
thanks.
sure you meant Augustus. Just
Thank
clarifying
you.
that for
Yes. Shoot,
Yeah.
the name's blanking on me. I know this guy. But I'm forgetting now.
Okay.
But thank you. Appreciate the
I knew
the
what you
pull
meant, and I
for
just
clarification.
yeah.
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
future viewers aren't like, aha.
Now, God damn it! Now I feel like Wes Huff. Holy cow! That's a bad feeling. I am like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Word for word.
Word for word.
Word for word.
Wow.
That was an important palate cleanser brought
we-
to you by
in this moment and not, days or weeks later. So, yeah. Anyway.
Who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your divine being reigns. Isaiah 52:7. This scripture's interpretation. The mountains are the prophets, they who were sent to proclaim God's truth and to prophesy to all of Israel. The messenger is the anointed of the Spirit, of whom Daniel spoke. After the 62 weeks, an anointed one shall be cut off. Daniel 9:26. The messenger who brings good news, who announces salvation, is the one of whom it is written, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn. Isaiah 61:2. They have themselves just applied Daniel 9 and Isaiah 61 to Melchizedek as a divine Messiah. This scripture's interpretation. He is to instruct them about all the periods of history for eternity. The text breaks up. And in the statutes of the truth, the text will break up again. Dominion that passes from Belial and returns to the sons of light. And then the text breaks up again. By the judgment of God, just as it is written concerning him, who says to Zion, your divine being reigns. Isaiah 52:7. Zion is the congregation of all the sons of righteousness who uphold the covenant and turn from walking in the way of the people. Your divine being is Melchizedek, who will deliver them from the power of Belial. Concerning what scripture says then, you shall have the trumpet sounded loud in the 7th month. Leviticus 25:9. Hopefully you'll see why I'm reading that there. They are clearly applying messianic prophecies and clearly saying Melchizedek is a divine being who is part of the divinity of that cannot be understated, but yet is separate from Adonai as a distinct person, a distinct hypostasis.
No, stop trying to force the Trinity in here, dude. Stop it. Roll up newspaper. No, stop.
I just remembered. It's Kurt. The guy's name is Kurt. Hi, Kurt. So sorry, that was apropos of nothing.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you, Vish,
Yeah,
for
stop
pointing
with
this
the
out.
Trinity and the roll up
this
and
guy,
bop him on the nose. Stop it. But also, I find it interesting that he's reading divine being there, because I suspect the text says El or Elohim there.
Listen. The terminology, the nouns that appear in this text with reference to divine figures is really, really interesting.
Oh,
and we're
boy,
going
now I
to
know why
talk
you told me to
more
pull up
in
Psalm
depth
82.
about that. And the other thing about this is the writer, he's pointed out one instance. The writer, not all of them, well, because he's reading an English translation, right? But there are several points in this manuscript where the author is intentionally changing the words applied to God in order to make his point clear about the composition of the cosmos, right? It's very exciting. I'm very excited about it. And I'll just say I get really irritated at the ways in which this the interpretation of this text get transposed directly on like a modern Christian understanding of who Jesus was. What a text like this is really, really important for, though, is for showing us the earliest Christian understanding of who Jesus was. And I'm telling you guys, most people have it wrong.
Yeah, I think in the Hebrew it reads Elohai, since it speaks to Zion. Okay, but he doesn't know the text in front of him. Okay, yeah, that tracks.
But I believe that's right. And we'll talk about it, though. I've got we'll get into the text a little bit, but let's listen to Joshua Pirzol a little bit more here.
They don't use that language. I'm using that language, but this is from the Dead Sea Scrolls, several hundred years before Christ walked the earth, before any of the slanderous accusations of the church corrupting the text or the misunderstanding and misinterpreting and mistranslating Isaiah or Daniel or any other passage. They themselves, and they talk about Zechariah 12 in here as well, they themselves are seeing these as divine messianic prophecies. And it's right there. You can go check it yourself. I'm not making it up. Go read it for yourself.
Oh, but we shall, young Padawan. We shall check for ourselves.
Your translation that you choose to read of this manuscript is also really important to consider, because they don't all look even that close to one another. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Right there, 300 years before Christ walked the earth. One of those things we've gone through is the idea of the plurality in the Godhead,
light change,
which was
Batman,
in ancient Judaism. And though I said at the start of the series, right, I'm not going to try and argue that every ancient Jew believed it. It does seem to be the most common view of the Second Temple period, if not the overwhelming majority. And that includes things like the idea of a divine Melchizedek, as they describe here, that Melchizedek will come again as this divine figure, literally having the name of the Lord. And as we discussed in our Name of the Lord video, only the Lord can have that name and be called Adonai. Right? No other being can have that name. And I talked about how some, especially rabbinic, but really rabbinic, Talmudic, post-Christian Judaism tries to tell two contradictory thoughts there. But there's no ideas in this of a supernatural Messiah, which...
I wonder if that's the volume people are reading when they say, oh yeah, I've read the Talmud. It's just that one paperback.
That's probably it. Yes, that's probably it.
That's right. It. I figured it out. No, I read it. I've totally read it. Like, okay. And also, I love how he's like, yeah, the rabbinic sages have two contradictory opinions. I'm like, yeah, and
just two?
Just two? Like, contradictory opinions. That's how we roll. We love doing this stuff. It's called arguments for the sake of heaven, and they're both valid. Love it.
Goes flying in the face, not only of the scriptural testimony, which we're going to go through this year, and I've gone through in the series, but of ancient Jewish thought. A key mark of rabbinic and Talmudic Judaism is a rejection of a lot of ancient traditions because it gave too much room for Christianity.
Excuse the hell out of you, dude. Christian theologians like this guy specifically, like evangelicals, really, they just have way too much main character energy. We don't think about you guys. Right? We don't. It's like is it from Mad Men, the elevator scene where the guy's talking to John Hamm's character, like, oh, I thought this about you, and he's like, I don't think about you at all. That's us with Christianity. We don't think about you. We don't spend our time going, how can we make this like less Christian favorable? We don't care. We're doing our own stuff. Leave us alone.
Now, I will say, I don't think Simone is here today, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't see her yet.
But I will say, because she would be pointing this out as well. Important to note that certainly by the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th centuries CE, when first the Jerusalem Talmud and then the Babylonian Talmud are being written and collected, there is an obvious development at this point in time that has been it's been affected by Christianity without question. but that's just how religion works. But so it
exactly. You took everything. I don't even know who you are.
I didn't even. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's the one.
There you go. So that's that's a useful point. But that's the other part of this too, is there's not some nefarious, because that's what he's promoting here is this
This has been
conspiratorial sort of thinking,
old Christian trope that those perfidious Jews are going around changing the scripture and writing their blasphemies against Christ and their blasphemies against the Holy Virgin. And guys, get over yourself.
I've heard. They don't even those Jews don't even read Isaiah 53.
We're forbidden
in the synagogue liturgy. It's forbidden. You can't do it. You're not allowed to read it.
You just see a giant page torn out.
That's
of every copy of the Bible.
They just cut them all out.
Not even there.
Yeah.
What's here? Why does it go from 52 to 54? Don't worry about it.
All right. Let's let him finish up here.
Okay.
And Alan Siegel, Two Powers in Heaven, he calls it a two powers heresy because he's an Orthodox Jew. He rejects it. But he goes through and details this. Daniel Bryan does a lot of work on
Stop.
Christian
He calls it. Quiet, Vish. Quiet. He calls it. Alan Siegel calls it the Two Powers heresy because that's what the rabbis called it. That's what it's called. The reason it was called the Two Powers heresy is because they rejected it. It was something that took place, at some point in the late Second Temple period, and then in the early post Second Temple period. This was part of the Second Jewish Revolt in the 130s. It was a key component of it, and it's complicated. And I think I'll explain part of the complication here, but it just that's what it's called, my guy. That's what they called it. Alan Siegel's not calling it that. That's not him. He's just being a good scholar and calling it what the thing is called. That what they called it is what he's calling it, because that's what we do.
Oh, like the old Marcionite difference of opinion.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
But also, do you understand, audience, both now and in the future, the barely cloaked anti-Jewishness in this guy's language? Oh, well, he's just calling it a heresy because he's an Orthodox Jew, and that complete dismissal of this opinion or these reports or writings or scholarly publishings, you just dismiss it because he's an Orthodox Jew. Clearly he has biases that would interfere, because I think the Two Powers heresy is referring to God and Jesus and possibly the Trinity. It really infuriates me on a deep level, the way these people talk about us. And
by the way,
any scholars.
This book by Alan Siegel was a very important book. It was a very good book that was published in 1970, 71, 72, I think, a long time ago. He didn't have access to a lot of the material that's come out since the 1990s from Qumran. It's a very good work, but the updated scholarly source on this, I would argue, is Peter Schaeffer's Two Gods. What's it called? It's Two Gods something, I think, but it's published within the last 15 years, I believe. But I just, as a reminder, and this is part of what we're doing today, I have promised that I'm making a video about the Two Powers in Heaven. So that's still coming. I'm hoping to be able to get onto that and have it out by the end of the summer at the latest. So but yeah, this is we're going to get into a lot of this in the near future, but a lot of this is is what we're talking about today too.
Yeah, I just get really upset at the projection here. It's like he's coming in with his, evangelical Jesus goggles on. So things have to end up at the Trinity somehow. They have to end up at Jesus is divine. He's a separate person, but he's also kind of God, but not really, but technically, but not actually. All of that is his end destination. So that's where he has to get to. So he's the one coming in with these like predetermined conclusions. And anybody who doesn't agree with it, well, it's because they're an Orthodox Jew. They don't agree. It's just because they're
Yeah.
Jewish. They're trying to like get rid of Christianity and take room out of their own practice for Judaism. You're not the main character of our religion, guy.
So true.
Okay, he's almost done.
This as well as how a lot of these ancient thoughts and these ideas of multiple hypostases, persons in the one God of Israel, was a common thought and was eventually pushed out. But you even see it popping up well into the medieval ages by figures like Nachmanides, who critiques Maimonides. He's critiquing Maimonides for jettisoning a lot of ancient tradition. Rashi, in several points of his commentary, explicitly says this is better to undermine or attack, or whatever phrasing you want to use, the Christian position on interpretations of things like some of the Psalms. So he's pretty clear in his intention there. The divine Melchizedek is sort of like a key figure for several of those emerging ideas. Like one of the ideas of the Messiah, you had a bunch of ideas. One of the very common ideas was a divine Messiah. You also had the ideas of a prophet, of a king, of a priest. So Melchizedek clearly is a good merging of several of those ideas, because he was a priest, he was a king, and as they're praying, he's divine. That's one of the reasons, right? Psalm 110 talks about him. I take Paul to be the author of Hebrews. You can have your debates on that if you would like.
And that's weird.
Psalm
That's just a weird
Speaking
thing.
of Melchizedek, and shows how he is a type that points forward to Christ. That's why it's, when you read about the divine Melchizedek idea in Second Temple literature, that should be something that's striking and should just zap you and be like, whoa. Like that's something that is specifically in the New Testament, not Melchizedek himself being divine, but that he's a pointer to the coming Messiah. There's a lot of important thoughts wrapped up in the idea of divine Melchizedek. And in addition to that, of course, the plurality of the Godhead, because he's distinct from Adonai and yet is called Adonai. And as we talked about in our going through our series, you see that all over the Targums. You see it all over the scriptures themselves. You see it repeatedly in Genesis. The angel of the Lord is constantly called Adonai. He's constantly given worship. He's given sacrifices. He's called the Lord explicitly in multiple places. And the ancient Jews understood this. The Christians continued this tradition instead of rejecting it, and took things like, hey, there's this, you saw this connection with Melchizedek. You are ancestors. You are correct that Melchizedek is a divine pointer. He points to the Lord, but he's pointing to the coming Messiah. He himself is not the Messiah.
This is what happens when you don't know anything about critical scholarship, when you don't know anything about the development of the texts, when you don't know anything about how ideas of what divinity was and the divine council was. This is what happens. And yes, thank you. I was just about to say this. Like, the psychic signals are going out. Dan's crying out in pain. Read my monograph.
Yeah. So I've got something else.
It's open access, people. You can get it for free.
It is. So go read it. It's very good. I got something else to point out here. The main character of you, but listen, there's a reason. I actually, it's because I wore my shirt today.
Yep. Fit check.
This is not Batman, by the way.
It's Batcat.
That's right. It's Batcat. The far superior superhero guy. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. It's harder when my cursor's super big. So okay. So I want to start with a statement here that I think is going to is where the fuck did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, well, you pull that up. Batcat and Batman solve crimes in similar ways. Yes, by hitting them. Cat owners know. Leave something on the table, the cat will knock it off, and they'll stare at you while they do it. Like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start with a statement today. Because he said a couple things there I think are important and that I want to challenge. He talked about how the ideas of he's talking about the ideas of a plurality of a Godhead within the idea of one God? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that what you see represented in 11Q Melchizedek, in the Melchizedek scroll, what you see represented in some of the early representations of Jesus in Paul's writings, in the book of Hebrews, in the Gospels, is not a plurality of the Godhead. It's a multiplicity of gods. There are multiple divine beings within the mainstream of early Judaism. It's a critical component of early Jewish religion. They were perfectly comfortable with the idea that not only was Yahweh not the only God, he wasn't the only good one, he wasn't the only God of Israel.
Gasp!
That's what's going on here. And this manuscript is all about that. And I mean all about that. So let's continue, shall we?
Team
We heard him read
Henotheism.
it. We're going to look at a couple of translations ourselves. First of all, on the left-hand side here, remember I said that that this manuscript was divided by Eric Myers into, or at least this particular column of the manuscript, this part of the Pesher, is divided by Eric Myers into 3 sections. We're going to look at each of those 3 sections in turn. So this is lines 2 through 9 here. The translation on the left that you see is the one that Joshua Pearsall read in his video, by Michael Wise, published in the Dead Sea Scrolls, a new English translation, I believe the 1996 version, which was written by Michael Wise, Marty Abegg, and Ed Cook. It was published literally within months of me meeting my very good friend Martin Abegg for the first time when I was an undergraduate at Trinity Western University, and when he had just started working at Trinity Western University. He and I are still very good friends. So this is the translation that he's drawing from. The one I have on the screen, I don't believe this is from the updated version, which was published in, I think, 2007 or 8. But I don't believe that this is Mike Wise's translation. I don't believe that it's been substantially changed from the 1996 version. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at Mike's translation of column 2, and we're going to compare it to another translation by probably I believe Ibert Tichelaar did it
Let me make
for
this
this one. This
screen.
is, there we go. Can I make it there? That's no, it keeps making. Let's see.
Yeah, it's a little oh,
but
let me go back. There we go.
Oh, shit.
That's
It did it
sort
again.
of okay. It's the light.
It is
The
the
camera's
light.
like, I don't like this. There's not enough light. I can't
No.
focus.
It's bad. So this is the Dead Sea Scroll Study Edition by Florentino Garcia Martinez and Ibert Tichelaar. And they didn't break down who translated which manuscript, but I believe this is Tichelaar's translation. Don't quote me on that. In any case, I think this is a preferable way to go than Mike Wise's translation, but we're going to look at both of them together. So I'm going to. Oh, you were doing the same thing.
There we go. Sorry, I think we did it at the same time.
Yeah, right. So let's start and look at. And I have each. I didn't put the line numbers on it. I just have each line beginning on its own on its own outdented paragraph. This is lines 2 through 9. The first chunk of the text that we'll talk about. And concerning what Scripture says, here's the quotation from Leviticus chapter 25, verse 13. In this year of Jubilee, you shall return every one of you to your property. And what is also written, and this is Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 2, is the manner of the remission. Every creditor shall remit the claim that is held against a neighbor, not exacting it of a neighbor who is a member of the community, because God's remission has been proclaimed. Here's the interpretation of these two passages that have been stitched together by this author. The interpretation is that it applies to the last days and concerns the captives. Just as Isaiah said, to proclaim the Jubilee to the captives. That's Isaiah chapter 61, verse 1. And then there is a break. You can see this is all the stuff in the square brackets has been reconstructed. I will draw your attention to the fragments behind the text here. You see all those places where there's gaps in what is written. We don't know what's there, but scholars make educated guesses about what's there. It's easier when you know the text that's actually being cited here, as we do. We have lots and lots of scripture that's actually being quoted in this manuscript, which makes this easier. Something else I want everybody to pay attention to, I will point these out as we go, is the specific identifications of divine beings that appear within this manuscript. The interpretation is that it applies to the last days and concerns the captives, just as Isaiah said, to proclaim the Jubilee to the captives. And then at the end of the line and then into the following line, that would be line 5, and whose teachers have been hidden and kept secret, even from the inheritance of Melchizedek. This is the first appearance of this key word, and I'm going to ask this at the outset, and I want people to think about this as we continue reading through this text. Is this a name? Is this text naming the figure Melchizedek? We know of this figure from Genesis chapter 16, I think it's either 14 or 16. Abraham is going, he goes and fights alongside the king of Sodom against in a coalition of southern Canaanite kings against Chedorlaomer, who is threatening the region, and they win. Then Abraham goes, and Dan actually did a video about this yesterday, right? I was like, oh my God, Dan, you did a video about Melchizedek. I'm talking about Melchizedek. What the fuck, right?
Yeah.
So that was fun. Shoot, I got a scratching in my throat and I'm out of Coke. But excuse me. The king of Sodom is they're dividing up the plunder. I encourage you go and check out Dan's video because there's textual difficulties here. But there is the appearance of this enigmatic figure named Melchizedek, who is identified as the king of Salem. The Genesis Apocryphon, which is an Aramaic text in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was written probably in the 2nd century BCE, might possibly even be the 3rd century BCE, but it identifies this Salem with the city of Jerusalem. So Melchizedek, the king of Salem, offers sacrifices to El Elyon, the God Most High. And he's presented as this priest king in the text. There's another place in the Old Testament, in Psalm 110. There's a promise made to David for an eternal priesthood after the order of this figure, Melchizedek. But even here, I asked that question with regards to the psalm. I asked that question with regards to this text. What does Melchizedek mean, Vish?
You know what I think. Because
Well,
we
what does
talked
it
about
mean?
this a little bit
We have
last
talked about
time,
this.
is that and this came out like while I was kind of hashing it out loud, is that Melchizedek it's not a character, it's referring to a title. It's referring to like an office, in the same way that the king was kind of like the manifestation of the divine rulership on earth, So
An
there's a
image bearer,
parallel
one might
going on.
say.
Yeah, an image bearer, exactly. Like Dan
Yeah.
McMullen wrote in his famous book.
Yeah.
But also I was thinking it makes sense to me now why Melchizedek offered to El Elyon, because if you have a coalition of kings from across the region, they all have their own little regional gods like Chemosh or whoever. And he's like, you know
Very
what?
good point.
I'm going to do it
Very
on our
good point.
behalf. I'm going all the way to the top for this one.
That's right.
This covers everybody. So that
Go to the
makes a
high
lot more
god.
sense to me now.
El
And
is the high god of the Canaanite pantheon.
Yeah.
The patron, the god that the northern kingdom chose as the patron, as indicated in the name of the frickin' kingdom, Israel.
Jace is
like
on the same
Adonai
track. Adonai Tzedek.
Yeah.
This is again, and
but
that's
what is
because the mountain is high. Anyway, it's a whole thing.
So
Anyway.
Melchizedek, it means literally king of righteousness, righteous
king.
So
just king.
is it a title? Is it a name? A lot of people look at it and just assume this is a name. It's presented within this, both translations actually, as a name. I want people to think about that insofar as it affects the way we read and interpret this particular text. So, whose teachers have been hidden and kept secret even from the inheritance of Melchizedek. And there's a break here. I'll draw your attention back to Leviticus chapter 25. In this year of Jubilee, you will return every one of you and your property. Deuteronomy 15, verse 2. Every creditor shall remit the claim held against a neighbor, not exacting it of a neighbor who is a member of the community because God's remission has been proclaimed. The inheritance of Melchizedek. This is nachla, is the Hebrew word here. This is the word that occurs in Leviticus 25, verse 13, multiple places throughout Leviticus 25. This is your heritable property that's given to you as a son of Israel, as a member of the community of Israel by divine right. This is what Yahweh has bequeathed to you and to your family. It's yours. It belongs to your family line in perpetuity. But here we have this inheritance, this nachlat Melchizedek, then the inheritance of Melchizedek. What is this? There's a break here. And they are the inheritance of Melchizedek, who will return them. This is referring back to the captives. Is going to return them to what is rightfully theirs, in fulfillment, in satisfaction of what we read in Leviticus chapter 25 and in Deuteronomy chapter 15. See, this is easy. This is very straightforward. There's no confusion here about what's happening. He will proclaim to them the Jubilee. Thereby, this is Melchizedek proclaiming to them, the captives, the Jubilee, thereby releasing them from the debt of all their sins. This word will thus come in the first week of the Jubilee period that follows 9 Jubilees. So after 9 Jubilees, in the 10th Jubilee, this is when this is going to happen. Okay? Then the Day of Atonement shall follow at the end of the 10th Jubilee period, when he shall atone for the sons of light and the people who are predestined to Melchizedek. Now, Christian readers get very excited when they read about atonement, when they read that Melchizedek is going to perform the atonement for all the sons of light and all the people who are predestined to him. The imagination starts to sparkle, and the first thing they think of is that the way to atone things is to die, but that's not what's happening here. In a very mundane fashion, atonement is performed consistently throughout many of the texts of the Hebrew Bible. In particular, this is a feature of the holiness code and the texts of the book of Leviticus and the priestly writer. Atonement is performed by priests, by sanctioned priests in the service of Yahweh. And they do it by offering sacrifices. They don't do it by offering themselves.
Yeah, this is another thing that, for instance, like Hebrews is riffing on Psalm 110 quite a bit. And it's trying to connect it to Jesus, who, according to, the lineages that were given, was ostensibly of the line of David and I guess Judah, if you want to be technical about it. So that would qualify him to be a king, but kings don't do priestly stuff anymore. And so like calling back to Melchizedek is saying, okay, I know we've got a problem because we want him to be a priest and a king, but those aren't the same office anymore. Those don't really overlap like they used to. So what if we just go all the way back to the ancient times, the primordial history, when king and priest was more or less the same thing. And then that's where they go with Melchizedek. It's like, oh, he's of a higher order. This is super ancient stuff that we're doing. So Jesus is going way back to that primordial history. So that's kind of how they reconcile the fact that, like, well, here on physical meat space, he was Davidic or Judah tribesman, so wouldn't be able to do Levitical functions. However, it's like, oh, but if he's an even like super king, then he gets to do both. So it's it's cool in terms of how they're messing with all of that and playing with the text. I don't agree, but whatever. I don't have to.
I think you're absolutely right about the ways in which this was read and understood, and why they focused on this figure, because of the whole distinction between kings and priests by this time period, and that's why they're drawing back into antiquity. But I will point out that there's very, very good reason to think that all through the actual history of Israel, that isn't necessarily preserved in our Bibles, but is echoed through some of the texts, through the propaganda. But I think that in these ancient Canaanite kingdoms, there's good reason to think that the kings were still functionaries of the temple, and that they would still perform sacrifices and work on behalf of the people. We don't always have access to that kind of stuff. I think you have some indications of it. I mean, the Solomon's dedication of the temple is just that. It's him performing the function of a priest and offering sacrifices at the inauguration of the temple. So, anyways, so
you're asking about space. That's what my sister calls the physical plane, as it were. She's
it's a great term.
Far more into the mystic things than I tend to operate in. So when she says meat space, that's become our shorthand, and I forget that I haven't really talked about that a lot with people who aren't us. So there you go. Wherever my sister
Right.
is, shout out.
Okay. So at the conclusion here of this section, these people, the sons of light and the people who are predestined to Melchizedek, this is his nachla, his inheritance, right? These are those who are going to be, who are currently captives, but are going to be released. That's who these people are. For this is the time decreed, and this is really interesting here. Isaiah chapter 61, verse 2. This is the time decreed for the year of Melchizedek's favor. Isaiah 61, verse 2 doesn't read exactly that. Isaiah 61, verse 2 reads, the year of Yahweh's favor. And this also gets people very excited. And I think this is one of the important hinges of this particular text, and something that questions that we're going to ask about this text as we read through it is who? Is Melchizedek Yahweh? He's being and then is this I'll ask the question again, is this a title as Vish has prompted? Is this just a way of referring to Yahweh? Because that's essentially what the writer of this text is doing by replacing the name Yahweh with Melchizedek in his citation of Isaiah 61, verse 2. There are other name replacements in this text, and I'll point those out as we go.
Honestly, because is God not the righteous king? Like, of all the kings, that's the most righteous one. That's the archetype, the king of kings.
The archetype. Yeah. Yes.
That one.
Yes. And here, something
Melchizedek.
something else that tends to get missed when this part of the text is cited, and there's a lot here in this sentence. I'll just read the whole thing and I'll point out a couple of things. This is the time decreed for the year of Melchizedek's favor and for his hosts together with the Kadoshei Elohim, the holy ones of God, for a kingdom of judgment. The hosts here, this is the word sabah, which is the same word from which we get Sabaoth. The hosts.
Armies.
This is the armies of Yahweh. This is a term that you see all over the place, in particular within the prophets, when they are quoting, when they're delivering messages from Yahweh. Very often, this is what they will call him: Yahweh Tsabaoth, Yahweh of armies, Yahweh of hosts, the Lord of hosts. That's what's here. Melchizedek has his own army, his own armies, as reflected in the text. I think this draws him even closer in identification with Yahweh. That's who this is, right? With the holy ones of God, and we'll come back to this when we talk further about Daniel chapter 7. And actually I have to double check, because that's line 9 here. So yes. So this is I said Kadoshei Elohim. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I need to correct that. This is Kadoshei El.
Oh,
the holy ones of El.
Goodness, that's a plot twist.
And you can understand now why it can get frustrating when you're reading this stuff through an English translation. Because I had in my own brain, I had kind of forgotten this, even though I've been looking at the Hebrew text this entire time. So Yahweh is Melchizedek, together with the holy ones of El, holy ones, kadosh, kadosh in the Hebrew, very, very frequently refers to divine beings. Lots of people will say angels. We need to get out of that kind of thinking, because this is pre-angels. These are gods in the council of gods, of which Yahweh is a part. These are the figures who are in the council of El, the king of the gods in ancient Israelite religion. And the exciting thing about this is that this is a consistent thread of thinking that did not pass out of favor in the mid to late Second Temple period, as many people assume. This is carried forward and clarified in a text like this that was written in like 80 BCE, or this particular manuscript. I think it's potentially a little bit older. Or this could be, I don't know. This could be the autograph, but it's potentially even a little bit older than that. But we're talking about the 1st century BCE, within a living memory of Herod the Great, decades before Pompey's capture of Judea.
Oh, Pompey. Sorry, my brain. I heard Pompeii, as in the city, and then I had to immediately go, no, Pompey, the guy.
I'm a terrible at the pronouncing, and so this is all very late for how a lot of people want to read these texts, and this is within early Judaism, and this is not a change to the ancient Israelite religions. This is a consistency. They're just carrying this stuff forward from antiquity into their own time. This perspective of the divine beings that populated their, what do you call the non-meat space, Vish?
I mean, I think my sister, when she talks about what isn't meat space, she's just referring to the I don't want to say spirit realm, because that has a completely different connotation, but it
does. But I feel
similar to that.
I feel like we need a word, and I'm hoping your sister can provide us with a good one.
Okay. While you are talking about this, I'll ask her and see if she has like a specific.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So here's Mike Wise's translation of this text. Now I'm going to pull up Garcia Martinez and Techelar in the neighboring column here. First of all, one things I want to point out to you is look at how much shorter this is. I've aligned everything so all the lines match up. One of the reasons this is so much shorter is because Techelar and Garcia Martinez are much more conservative translators. And what I mean by that is not ideologically conservative, but conservative in terms of how much they are willing to commit to in reconstruction. So where there are gaps in the text, they are much less likely to make suggestions of what they think is there, unless they have a pretty strong idea. And for that reason, you're going to see a lot more gaps in their translation. Okay, now, as I read this, pay attention to how this is different from what we see in Mike Wise's translation. And as for what he said, not scripture, as for what he said, in this year of Jubilee, you shall return everyone to his respective property. Leviticus 25, verse 13. Concerning it, he said, This is the manner of the release. Every creditor shall release what he lent to his neighbor. He shall not coerce his neighbor or his brother, for it has been proclaimed a release for God. Deuteronomy 15, verse 2. Its interpretation for the last days refers to the captives who we don't know, because it's the, you know, the text isn't there, and they're not keen on filling it in, and whose teachers have been hidden and kept secret, and from the inheritance of Melchizedek for, and then there's another break that they preserve there. And they are the inheritance of Melchizedek, who will make them return, and liberty will be proclaimed to them to free them from the debt of all their iniquities. And this will happen in the first week of the Jubilee, which follows the 9 Jubilees. Then the Day of Atonement shall follow at the end of the 10th Jubilee, in which atonement will be made for all the sons of light. Notice also the capitalizations here are much less prominent. Things like sons of light, things like the last days. These sorts of things are left in lowercase. These are important interpretive decisions, I believe. In the first week of the Jubilee, which follows the 9 Jubilees, then the Day of Atonement shall follow at the end of the 10th Jubilee, in which atonement shall be made for all the sons of light and for all the men of the lot of Melchizedek. Over them something according to all their works. For it is the time for the year of grace of Melchizedek and of his armies, the nation of the holy ones of God, of the rule of judgment. There's not dramatic differences between these two translations, but there are subtle differences in terms of how Garcia Martinez and Tejalar are understanding this text. And I would say probably not quite as closely aligned to New Testament interpretation as Mike Wise has a tendency to do. So that's the first chunk of texts that appears from verses 2 through 9. Let's move on through verses 10 through 13. Meyer suggested 14, but I've actually chosen to include line 14 with the third the third installment. Just as it is written. And it's at this point in the text that we really start to get into, the author really starts to get into the identity of this figure, this Melchizedek figure. Just as it is written concerning him in the Songs of David. A godlike being has taken his place in the council of God. This is Elohim has taken his place in the council of El. In the midst of the Elohim, the divine beings, he holds judgment. Psalm 82, verse 1. Scripture also says about him, this is an explicit identification connecting Melchizedek, this Yahweh figure, to the Elohim that's taken his place in the council of El, in the midst of the other Elohim, where he is holding judgment. Scripture also says about this figure, over it, take your seat in the highest heaven. A divine being, an Elohim, will judge the peoples. Psalm 7, verses 7 to 8. Concerning what Scripture says, how long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. Psalm 82, verse 2. The interpretation applies here to Belial and the spirits predestined to him, because all of them have rebelled, turning from God's precepts and so becoming utterly wicked. So this is very interesting to me, because, and this is one of these parts of the text where I'm excited about how the writer of the Melchizedek scroll is connecting text from the Hebrew Bible, how he's connecting Psalm 82 to Psalm 7, and how he's identifying the figures that are, involved in Psalm 82, because these, I'll answer your question in a second as soon as I finish my sentence. The spirits of Belial and Belial himself are being explicitly identified here with the other Elohim, over whom the Elohim, the righteous king Yahweh, in the Council of El, is pronouncing judgment. Yeah. What is it?
Okay. While you were giving your lecture here, my sister replied, number one, and she tends to use higher realms as the analog to meat space. So anyway, that's to answer that question. Number two,
kind of like highest heaven.
So
there.
Yeah, the higher realms, highest heaven. Yeah, sure. Okay. So I had to write this down in the chat so I wouldn't forget it. For one moment, roll with me. You remember how in Gan Eden, Yahweh is walking, just walking around in the garden with them. That's not a problem in that period of time. God can just walk around and do stuff. Not a big deal. What if Abraham is close enough to that mytho-history period of time that he actually, in the narrative, got to go into battle with God, the Melchizedek.
With God. With the Melchizedek.
And then when you hear
badass.
later on Yahweh Tsebaot, it's also calling back to that time Abraham and a bunch of other kings got their armies together and that God led them into battle.
I love it. That's so, yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Because Abraham, literally, we have a narrative where at first it's Yahweh that shows up at his tent. And like half a second later, it's like, just kidding. It was the Malach Adonai. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Abraham was called, friend of God. Abraham had interactions with that God that a lot of other patriarchs and even later figures just didn't. I think maybe this idea of I guess was it Stavro Kapulu writing about the God's body and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that idea lasted a lot longer than we would think.
So long. Yes. She talks about that too. She's showing early medieval Jewish artistic representations of the very physical God. So Tree Climb Tad points out that you are getting dangerously close to the plot of his novel. Also, Trilzabab, the highest heaven. Are we peeking into some Merkaba cosmology? Yeah, we are.
I don't think that my sister is into that, but I think in the text that might actually be a thread that's being picked on.
Yeah, it is. So, and something else that I don't talk about at all today, but is important for this kind of text, for the other text that we're looking at, is the background, earlier layers of these sorts of things that appear in the book of Ezekiel. I also need to do some more work, some more looking at that. But yes, so let's continue reading about Belial and the spirits predestined to him, because all of them have rebelled, turning from El's precept, God's precepts, and so becoming utterly wicked. Therefore, Melchizedek will thoroughly prosecute the vengeance required by El's statutes. In that day, he will deliver them from the power of Belial and from the power of the spirits predestined to him. This is Ticolar's and Garcia Martinez's translation of this text. As is written about him in the songs of David, who said, Elohim will stand in the assembly, not the assembly bleed. It's not the assembly of El. This is God or El. In the midst of the Elohim, he judges. Psalm 82, verse 1. And about him he said, and above it, to the heights return. El is God. Will God El? Sorry, I think I made a typo here. Did I? Let's see. This is line 12.
And while you look that up, Katie Lewis is saying people making military alliances with deities is absolutely a thing that happens. I mean, later on, we get the ark that people would carry physically into battle, and it was physically representing the fact that God was going into the battle with them, which is, kind of funny because later on they're like, oh, we're going to carry the ark in and God's definitely going to be with us and we're going to win this battle and we're going to kick everyone's ass. And the prophet's like, yeah, don't do that. It's not going to work. Not this time. And they do it anyway and they get their ass beat. So,
Yes. Sorry. That was, I think, that's what I did. I forgot. That's a typo. So it's God, that's El, will judge the peoples, not God being. It's just El will judge the people. Psalm 7, verses 7 to 8. As for what he said, how long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Psalm 82, verse 2. Its interpretation concerns Belial and the spirits of his lot, who, and they'd chosen not to fill this out, right? Turning aside from the commandments of God to commit evil. But Melchizedek will carry out the vengeance of El's judgments. And on that day, he will free them from the hand of Belial and from the hand of all the spirits of his lot. So this is what Melchizedek is going to do.
Question.
On the Day of Atonement.
Jace is asking if that's Belial.
If what's Belial?
Let me pull up the chat really quick because he keeps typing it and now I can't find it. We say Belial, but he's typing it the Hebrew way. Belial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes.
Okay.
Jason.
Yep. So yes, that's was it Beit Lamed Yod Ayin El Ayin Lamed, I believe is the spelling, right? Yes. So that's Belial. Okay. So that's the second part. We're going to move into the third part here of this text. Mike Wise's translation. Allied with him, that would be the Melchizedek figure, the Yahweh, will be all the righteous. And here we have the Eli Tzaddik, the righteous divine beings, but this isn't Elohim, this is the plural of El. And I'll explain what's going on there. This is Isaiah 61, verse 3. Allied with Melchizedek will be all the righteous divine beings. So what this writer is picturing is this court scene in Psalm 82, where the God stands up in the court of El and pronounces judgment on the other Elohim, but not on, and this is the reading by this writer that's not in Psalm 82, but this is what he sees, not all of them. He sees that there are two sides to this, and they both look very much the same. El remains stationed over the council. Yahweh's on one side, Yahweh Melchizedek is on one side, allied with a group of other Elohim within the council against Belial and other Elohim in the divine council. So he allied with him will be all the righteous divine beings, the righteous Elim. This is that which, and there's a break here, and then it clarifies all the Elohim, the divine beings, I believe, connecting this to the Elim from Isaiah 61 verse 3. We'll get to that. This visitation is the day of salvation that he has decreed, that would be the Melchizedek has decreed through Isaiah the prophet concerning all the captives, inasmuch as scripture says, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace, who brings good news, who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your divine being reigns, your Elohim reigns. Isaiah 52 verse 7. This scripture's interpretation, the mountains are the prophets. The mountains are the Hebrew prophets, those who spoke the message, the words of Yahweh, and those whose voices were captured and written down in the Hebrew scriptures. They are the mountains. They who were sent to proclaim El's truth, God's truth, and to prophesy to all Israel. That's the mountains. And the messenger who's standing on the mountains is the anointed of the Spirit. This is the Mashiach HaRuach. You'll recognize that word, Mashiach. This is the Messiah of the Spirit, which is I don't like that as it's applied to this text. This is just the anointed one of the Spirit. And this is the messenger of whom Daniel spoke. Now pay close attention here to what's in the brackets. I'll point this out on the manuscript actually. Here we have, you can see it here, the tail end where my cursor is. Mashiach, you got the Shin Yod and the Chet here. Haruach, you got the He Resh Vav there. Asher Amar, about whom he spoke.
He spoke.
Daniel. We've got Dalet and Noon. And then nothing for the rest of this line.
Dang.
Before, I know, it's very frustrating. Before we get to the next line, which tells us about oh shoot, I can't read it. It's too small. What is that? Is that oh yeah, this is the Tov this is the Tov Mebasher, the good news here. I should probably look up and see how that's translated in the Septuagint. So we don't know what Daniel said about the Mashiach HaRuach. However, Michael Wise has filled it in for us. After the 62 weeks, a Mashiach, an anointed one, shall be cut off. Daniel 9, verse 26. The messenger who brings good news, who announces salvation is the one of whom it is written to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, the day of vengeance of our God. Now, I want to point out here that, again, the mountains are the prophets, according to this writer. The messenger is standing on the mountains. He's the one making the proclamation. And we already read quite a bit in the earlier part of this text that it's Melchizedek who's proclaiming the year of favor. It's his own favor, but he's the one who's making the proclamation of release. He's also the one who's exercising judgment on the lot of Belial and his spirits. So this is the messenger. The messenger appears to be aligned also with Melchizedek. He's the one of whom it's written to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, the day of vengeance of our God. All of that is reconstructed. To comfort all who mourn. Isaiah 61 verse 2 is partially reconstructed. This scripture's interpretation, he is to instruct them about all the periods of history for eternity. And in the statutes of the truth, again, is reconstructed. So I want to now look at, first of all, how much more conservative Tickler and Garcia Martinez have been in their reconstruction of this text. Starting up at the top again. To his aid shall come all the gods of justice. And the one who, and then it's blank, all the sons of El, all the sons of God. And it breaks off again. This something is the day of peace, not salvation, reconstructed, about which he has said through Isaiah the prophet, who said, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace, the messenger of good who announces salvation, saying to Zion, your God reigns. Its interpretation, the mountains are the prophets, and then leaves a whole bunch of blank stuff here because he's not comfortable with filling it in for all. In the next line, and the messenger is the Mashiach HaRuach, the anointed of the Spirit, as Daniel said about him, until an anointed a prince. It is 7 weeks. Daniel 9 verse 25. Sorry, that's wrong. I made a mistake there. That's my typo. That's supposed to be Daniel 9 verse 25, not Daniel 9 verse 26. And the messenger of good who announces salvation is the one about whom it is written that. And Garcia Martinez and Tickler have left this part blank because we don't know what's there. To comfort the afflicted, its interpretation, to instruct them in the ages of the world. Now, there's something here that we need to talk about, and that is what on earth is missing in the text there, where both
Hang on.
have
Can you read
reconstructed
that
something from Daniel chapter
the last
9.
line of that again, really quick?
To comfort the afflicted, its interpretation, to instruct them in all the ages of the world.
Huh. Well, that's
By the way, that's not
interesting.
something that Jesus ever did.
Nope. I was gonna say this again reminds me quite a bit of Sefer Yovalim, where it's absolutely obsessed with jubilees as timekeeping devices.
Yes, it is.
And
yes, it is.
who was narrating a lot of this to Moses
The
in
angel
that
of
book?
the presence. Yeah. Yeah. Who is that? So, yeah. Now, let's look at these fragments. I've already pointed this out, and we're going to take a closer look at this. And I'll remind you, maybe I should put this back here. Oh, I already dropped it. I'll remind you, when Carrier talked about this, he said that 11Q13, he said that this one tells us about the messenger of Isaiah 52 to 53, who is linked in Isaiah with a servant who will die to atone for everyone's sins. The servant who will die to atone for everyone's sins, presaging God's final victory, which, as we have already seen, later Jews definitely regarded as the Messiah. And that's based on this reading from, oh dear. Oh no, those are just kids delivering flyers. Can people hear dogs going crazy? I hope not.
We heard some
But,
bark bark.
Yeah. So that's based on Mike Wise's
Lots of bark.
lots of barking. Hey, Nova, you. Goodness, is that? Give me a second here.
As my mom would say, "Ay, cállate la boca."
Yeah. There's nobody there.
So while he's seeing to the dogs, I will at least pull up a few super chats. We have a request really quickly from Katie Lewis, who is asking that we put titles of these recommended books in the show notes. That would be great. So in the description later on, if you could put some titles, that would be
trying to remember.
fabulous.
I'll try.
We did that one. Tree Climb Tad for 2. I'm not saying it's a Messiah, but it's a Messiah. Thank you for the Giorgio Tsoukalos reference there. Pragmatic Humanist for 5. Love your work, dude. Fantastic stuff. Thanks to work like yours. I'm learning to read the Greek and Hebrew very slowly. That shit is hard, but it's worth it.
Brilliant.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
So
And
worth
if you need further help, there are courses that you can take online. I will be starting a new Hebrew course through the religion department, which is operated by Religion for Breakfast, and that's going to be starting at the end of May.
Badim, or Radim, if you know, you know. For 2, Carrier got participation award peer review.
Yeah, I did.
By not passing peer review, he actually passed it, you guys. 40 chess. Air Dodger 499. Disturbance at District 12F. Citizen Davis. Engaged. Divisive. Sociocidal counter. Sociocidal counter obeyance.
Obeyanker.
I guess that's obeyance. Rank leaders prepare visual download of target.
I don't know what this is, but that sounds amazing.
Dave for 5 beaver bucks. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Yeah.
What'd you do to your finger there, son? Only for 1 week, and you're halfway to becoming a mummy. Which some people in the chat were like,
did you miss the story?
Your finger represents half of you. So, yeah.
You know what? I next time, maybe for tomorrow, I will draw a face on my finger.
Do it. Don't see your shadim for $10. Dawn sees your shadim, chicken feet and everything. I've been a fan for a while. Got my job back. Woohoo! So it's time to give, probably. I think they accidentally word. To give to you and Justin, Angela, Derek, Tabor, and so on some love. The New Age movement has hijacked Melchizedek. Yes, they have, and I'm very upset that like, stop it.
I don't know who Angela is, but thank you very much.
Angela Puka.
I don't know.
Who Justin Sledge often will collaborate with or consult. That's who I thought it is. It's Dr. Angela Puka.
Hold on a second here.
Okay. And I personally support having a stream where we try to parse God's video game stats. So just know that I'm on your side for that. And let's see what's going on in the chat. Oh. Some of these chats aren't showing up in our StreamYard, and I'm not entirely sure what to do with that. Didn't know you had Latin ascendancy. I mean, I can sort of okay speak Spanish because I grew up with it, but then I forgot a bunch of it. And the kind of Spanish that I've been studying lately isn't the kind that's going to be conversational in the modern era. It's mostly like colonial era and then some Ladino, and that's not really good for day-to-day conversations with people in this area. So, you know.
I know how all this stuff works, I promise.
And then Dave said that he did miss the story, but he'll go back and watch it.
Oh, you know what? You know what else you could do, Dave? Is I will talk more about the finger tomorrow night if you happen to be looking for something to do after 7 o'clock Pacific. Tune in to Budget Scripture Saturday, and we'll talk some more about the finger. So awesome.
Trent Hip. I presented my first paper at an academic conference yesterday. My name is here.
Right,
Trent Hip. Hell yeah. All right, and back to you.
All right. Back to you, actually, Vish, because we're going to take a look now at this. I'm sorry that I was unable to find the slides for this, so I had to actually pull this out of one of my videos. This is in my second video of my Richard Carrier response series, where I talk about this manuscript in particular. Now, what you see on the screen, oh, you just jumped right ahead there, didn't you?
You said back to me, so I pulled it up.
No, but on the video, did you, or is that the start of the video?
It's 000. That is the start.
You're right, it is. Okay, cool. Okay. I think maybe that's just the thumbnail. Press play, see what happens. I don't know what's gonna happen when we press play. Oh, yes. Okay, pause it for a second. Look at this. See what I'm pointing out here is, look at all these gaps in the manuscript between these two fragments that scholars are trying to fill in, right? We've seen some of this at work between the differences in the two translations, Mike Wise's translation and Tickler's and Garcia Martinez's translations. We can see too, we've got a nice estimate as to where the end of this column is. Press play for a second. I think I've illustrated this in the video here. So yeah, there we go. There's the lines. Pause it there for a second. Let's look at this. So what you have here, pay close attention, everyone, to no, you can't see my cursor, but pay close attention, everyone, to the left-hand side of this column where this line has to end, because that's where the column ends. You've got a margin there. See the empty margin? You can't go past that, because guess what? On the other side of that margin is more text, and you have to be able to write and read the text without the interference of the other text. So this is the citation from Daniel chapter 9, right? This is Daniel 9 verse 25 that I've reconstructed here. This is what Tickler and Florentino Garcia Martinez have said. They've reconstructed this text according to Daniel 9 verse 25. I'm just trying to, yeah, here it is. Until an anointed a prince, it is 7 weeks. Here we have Asher Amar Daniel Alaiv Ad Mashiach Nagid Shivayim Shava Umashaber. So that's that which Daniel said concerning him until the Messiah, a prince, 7 weeks. That's what's there. And then he finishes up with, and the messenger, and the messenger of good news has to finish up the line. So this fits, this works. The Mashiach Ruach, the anointed of the Spirit, the Melchizedek figure, is the anointed prince at the end of 7 weeks. 7 weeks is what? It's 490 years. 490 years is what? It's 10 jubilees. That's what the text says. All right. So that's their reconstruction. Here's Mike Wise's reconstruction. If you press play, we might have to
Also, thank you to Ann Stevens, who just sent 5 Kip Davis memberships, and those went to Ninjester, Plonk Relic, Infinitum, Neo, Jillian Wren, and our Anarchic Fox. So congrats to y'all, and thank you to Ann Stevens.
Congratulations.
Very generous.
Oh, see, look, there's the
gonna say.
margins.
Yeah, because Jason was just like, wait, how long is this line and how wide is the thing? So
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, I just quickly, the left margin is always not perfectly straight.
Yeah.
Right. Because not all words are exactly the same length. So scribes are using this as a like it's a guide. It's not precise. However, there are limits.
Okay.
So here is Mike Wise's reconstruction of the text. Here it is.
Oh,
there it is.
Oh my goodness.
Pause it there for a second. So the Mashiach Haruach, just as Asher Amar Daniel, just as he said concerning him, Vachere ha-shavayim shishim v'shanim yikrat Mashiach. Daniel said concerning him, and after 62 weeks, he will be cut off. The Messiah will be cut off. And this is how Carrier understands this manuscript. This is where he gets the idea that the Messiah has to die because he's going to be cut off.
That doesn't fit on the page.
It really doesn't, does it? I mean, it really,
you would have to write across the margin between columns.
This is a problem. I feel like this is a problem that is not resolvable. Now, it's possible too that there could be some sort of conflation because you've got the two messiahs in Daniel 9:25 and Daniel 9:26. You've got the Messiah who's cut off. Well, first you've got the Messiah, the prince. This is the one who built the second temple, right?
In order to avoid
9:25.
confusion, the anointed prince.
Sorry, the anointed. Thank you. The anointed prince, the anointed leader. That would be Zerubbabel, who built the second temple. Then you've got this anointed one who's cut off, who is a priest. This is Onias the third, who was murdered by his brother Jason, who then took the priesthood with the backing of Antiochus and kind of sparked this revolt on the part of the Hasmoneans.
For further reading and dramatic developments, see the books of Maccabees.
Indeed. So, but this is this clearly doesn't work just from a spatial perspective, and I would say this doesn't even work from a conceptual perspective. This doesn't even make sense of what we see happening throughout this text. I think this makes a mess of the logic of this
Yeah.
text. So now I've got another suggestion here. I think Tickler and Garcia Martinez have it right. I think it's just a citation of chapter 9 verse 25. But you know what?
I mean,
Even it's
going over by maybe 2 letters, that seems fine. Like here, that right there, that seems fine. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit long here, but that's not
No.
super big of a deal.
totally
It's not that
totally
much
within
past where
range.
this other one is, so yeah.
Right. So, and this
It
is
fits
this
better.
is another suggestion here, which is not a precise citation of Daniel 9 chapter 25 or Daniel 9 chapter 26. This is my suggestion of what this might look like. The Mashiach Haruach, the anointed of the Spirit, just as Daniel said, Acharei Shiva Shivaim Shava Ushashim Vashanim. So after 7 and 62 weeks, without any actual explicit mention of the Mashiach Haruach, but we know that there will be one that's going to rise up after, at the end of the the 7 Jubilees, basically, right? So there's some flexibility here, but what I think is impossible for this text is a citation of the Messiah who was cut off. There's just no way to get this into the text in any way for it to make sense, and it doesn't make any sense for a Messiah, for the anointed one to be cut off within this accounting of history, because this is not what's envisioned by the writer of the Melchizedek scroll. The Melchizedek scroll is envisioning this lofty being who's coming down and wiping out.
There's no way that guy's getting cut off.
The lot of Belial.
Yeah.
It's what he's proclaiming the Jubilee, and then he's kicking the shit out of the lot of Belial. That's what he's doing. So it just does not work. It does not work, Richard Carrier. It does not work, Michael Weiss. It does not work, Timothy Lim. It doesn't work. That's not what's happening in this text. So that was a what do you call those? That was an excursus.
Question really quick before we move on.
Yes.
This vaguely Rodan-shaped hole here, is this a peeled off a layer or a layer of the skin that's come off?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, cool. Okay, because I can see the along these cracks right up here as well.
A lot of places
it looks like
there.
a layer came off.
So the technical term for that, Vish, is delamination.
Oh, fancy.
So, all right, I am going to put my screen back on because we're finished with that one. And now we're going to finish up. We're going to finish up this section here. Mike Wise's translation: dominion that passes from Belial and returns to the sons of light. And a break: by the judgment of God, that's El, just as it is written concerning him who says to Zion, your Elohim reigns. This is a repeat of Isaiah 52 verse 7. Zion, now there's an interpretation here. Zion is the congregation of all the sons of righteousness. That's all reconstructed, by the way, who uphold the covenant and turn from walking in the way of the people. Your Elohim, your divine being, is, and this is reconstructed, but I think it's right, Melchizedek, who will deliver them from the power of Belial concerning what Scripture says, then you shall have a trumpet sounded loud in all the land. And this is really where the manuscript breaks off at the end. So let's look at what the alternative translation has to say here. Something has turned away from Belial and will something. He is not filled in the sons of light here. In the judgments, plural, of El, as it is written about him, this is a typo, saying to Zion, your God rules, your Elohim rules, Isaiah 52, verse 7. Zion is the congregation of all the sons of justice. They filled in the reconstruction with the same text. Those who establish the covenant, those who avoid walking on the path of the people. And your God is Melchizedek, who will free them from the hand of Belial. And as for what he said, you shall blow the horn in all the land of something. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 9. All right. Now, I want to focus a little bit more closely on the terminology in here and the cast of characters. First, we have El. That's what that says there, by the way, at the top of the screen. El, we know, is the king of the Canaanite pantheon. We know this from the vast quantity of Ugaritic literature that survives to us in cuneiform tablets with this really interesting form of Hebrew written in cuneiform. So all the places, this is all of what is said of El within this text, and some of these are really interesting. First of all, it's in the quotation of Deuteronomy 15, verse 2, at the beginning there in line 4. It's proclaimed a release for El, but look at this. Here, El has been inserted in place of Yahweh.
Oh.
Right? It continues. The year of grace of the holy ones of El. This is the Kedoshei El in line 9. These are other divine beings. We have, and citing Psalm 82, verse 1 in line 10, and Elohim stands in the council of El. El will judge the people in line 11, and this is citing Psalm 7:9, where again Yahweh is replaced by El.
Dun, dun, dun.
Line 12, turning aside from the commandments of El. Melchizedek will carry out the vengeance of El in line 13. I think there's to me, this looks like there is a focused presentation on the part of the writer of this manuscript to set El, the king of the gods, the leader, the head of the pantheon, as in Psalm 82, he's doing quite a bit of work to set him to focus his attention on this figure as the high god. And he's doing this in two places by replacing Yahweh with El. To his aid shall come all the... Now this is the interesting part here. To his aid shall come all the Eli. This is the plural form of El, which means gods. To his aid shall come all the Eli of justice in line 14. This is Isaiah 61, verse 3, replacing Elay with Elay, but minus the yod. Now, these are two different words. The first here, Elay with the yod, this is the trees, the terebinths. This is the good terebinths, right? Now, the writer of this text is making an interpretive decision and has decided that he doesn't like that and wants this to be reflective of, and he's doing this because he's reading Psalm 82 into this text and saying this is all taking place in the Council of El, where like all the gods, the Elohim in the Council of El, are breaking off and picking sides, siding with the lot of Belial, siding with the Elohim, Yahweh Melchizedek, who makes his stand in the divine council. And he wants these divine figures to be, he wants this action. This isn't explicit in Psalm 82, where there's a breaking taking place within the council where the gods are picking sides, but that's what this writer wants to happen, and he's using this text to show that. So he's turning this terebinths, these good terebinths in Isaiah 61 verse 3, and he's turning that into a leam. Yeah. Clever, isn't it? It's
clever girl.
It's very, very clever. But this is very intentional as well. I don't think this is a scribal issue. I don't think this is a text critical issue. I think this is the writer going, I'm just fucking with the text to make it say what I need it to say.
I mean, also, if you have a campaign or have had a campaign of this upstart god from the south, near Mount Seir, that some people have never heard of, and they're just assimilating and taking all these titles and epithets and all these other things and qualities. There's got to be some people out there who aren't okay with that, and they're like, scratch it out, go back to L.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. This is all taking place in the judgments of El in line 23. Now let's look at who Melchizedek is in this text. The king of righteousness. They are the inheritance of Melchizedek. That's with reference to the captives who are going to be released. This is also, I believe, the group identified as the sons of light and all the people of Melchizedek. So that's lines 5 to 6. Atonement shall be made for the lot of Melchizedek, for the lot of the king of righteousness in line 8. The year of grace of the king of righteousness in line 9, citing Isaiah 61 verse 2, where again, Yahweh is being replaced by Melchizedek. Now, important to point out, Yahweh never appears in this manuscript anywhere. And
remind us what manuscript this is.
This is 11Q Melchizedek, right. 11Q13. It's and it's being replaced in multiple different places for, I think, providing clarity in distinguishing two gods in this text. So you've got El, the king of the gods, and then you've got Melchizedek, the righteous king, who I think in the layers underneath this text is the Judean god in the Council of El. Melchizedek will carry out the vengeance of El. They can't be the same being. They can't be the same god.
Evangelical guy
is doing the work of the other. And at no point, I don't believe, can they be identified together. I think this text is working. It's doing work to show the differences between these figures, not to say at any point that they are part of the same person or the Godhead. This is not a Trinitarian message. This is not a binitarian message. This is a message about multiple divine beings. Your God, your Elohim, is Melchizedek in lines 24 to 25.
Here we go.
Does it get more obvious than that?
Just put
So
it
the
right out there.
Elohim.
Cool.
And Elohim once again stands in the Council of El in line 10, Psalm 82, verse 1. He pronounces judgment on the other Elohim, which are identified with the lot of Belial, who have rebelled against the commandments of El. Your Elohim reigns in line 23, citing Isaiah 52, verse 7. And your Elohim is Melchizedek in line 24 to 25.
Dang.
It doesn't get any more clear than this. Now, we're going to shift gears a little bit because we have to talk about another text, which we have not mentioned in our discussion of 11 Kil Melchizedek. So
what you're saying is your Elohim is Melchizedek.
That's it. Right? That's it. Thank you. What's his name? Giorgio.
No, that's noise ending.
Oh, yeah. No, I knew it was noise ending. But I'm channeling the History Channel guy.
Oh, Giorgio Tsoukalos.
That's it. Giorgio Tsoukalos. Thank you. All right. So
if you want to be super proper, it's Tsoukalos.
Thank you.
Like with a tzadi.
Psalm 82 is in the background of this. I mean, it's cited several times in this text. Another text that's in the background of this, which isn't actually cited, but it's there because that's what Psalm 82 is. Psalm 82 is, can you pull up Deuteronomy 32? I hope that's what you're doing. There we go. Because what Psalm 82 is doing, long before any of this stuff, what Psalm 82 is doing is riffing on Deuteronomy 32. Let's go to, yes. Give ear, O heavens, let me speak, let the earth hear the words I utter. May my discourse come down as rain, my speech distill as the dew, like showers on young growth, like droplets on the grass. This text, by the way, very old, probably dates to the 7th century BCE, late 7th century BCE. For the name of Yahweh, I proclaim, give glory to our God, our Elohim, Tzur, the rock whose deeds are perfect, yea, all of whose ways are what? What are they? They're tzaddik. They're tzaddik.
Or
they're
just
righteous. A faithful God never falls. True and upright indeed, unworthy children, that crooked, perverse generation, their baseness, different kind of base here, I think. A different kind of base Maya. Their baseness has played God false. Do you thus requite Yahweh? O dull and witless people, is not this your Father who created you, fashioned you, and made you endure? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of past ages. Ask your parent who will inform you, your elders who will tell you. When Elyon gave the nations their homes and set the divisions of humankind, the boundaries of peoples were fixed. Now there's a textual variant here because this is Sephardia. They have retained the Masoretic text, which has corrupted, which has changed the text. The original text said that the boundaries of the people were fixed in relation to the number of the sons of El.
Elohim. B'nai Elohim.
The number of the sons of the gods, the Elohim. For Yahweh's portion is this people, Jacob, God's own allotment.
Nachalto. Wait,
His
Nachalato.
Nachlato. Remember
Yeah.
who the allotment is of Melchizedek? It's his people. It's the righteous people, the sons of light. That's what Psalm 82 is riffing on. It's riffing on this text when the Elohim stands up in the council of El and pronounces judgment on the other Elohim and says, how long have
You're not
you
doing your job?
You're not doing your job. And then at the conclusion, if you want to pull up Psalm 82 now, my apologies. Let's look quickly at this. God stands in the divine assembly. How long will you judge perversely? Showing your favor to the wicked, judge the wretched and the orphan, vindicate the lowly and the poor, rescue the wretched and the needy, save them from the hand of the wicked. They neither know nor understand. They go about in darkness, and the foundations of the earth totter. I had taken you for Elohim. Sons of Elyon, all of you. But you shall die as mortals do, fall like any prince.
Literally imagine this being read or dramatized. Like, I thought y'all were gods.
Yeah. Now, if you could pull up the entire concluding text here, Vish, together. Here's what I think is happening. And yeah. Here's what I think is happening in this last verse here. I think that this is the conclusion here of Yahweh's Melchizedek's speech to the Council of El, to his fellow Elohim, where he says, I had taken you for Elohim, sons of Elyon, all of you, but you shall die as mortals, you shall fall like any prince. That's the conclusion of Yahweh's speech. And I think at the end here, I think this is possibly El's concluding judgment. Stand up, Elohim. Yeah. Judge the earth. Not just your allotment. Not just your people, Jacob. All the nations, you, Tinchal, shall inherit.
The Goyim.
The nations, all the nations. So,
yeah,
this is
literally, he's just telling them, get up and do your job.
Yeah. But he's drawing this, importantly, he's drawing this straight out of Deuteronomy 32. That's what he's doing, but he's expanding it, right? This is now, the judgment that's pronounced on the entire group. That's this sounds like an intense Teams call. I don't know the reference, but
Microsoft Teams.
I'm sure the kids do.
It's the Office version of like Discord.
So. Oh, right, nice. Okay,
yeah. They're all on a Zoom call.
Oh, right. Yeah. Now, but I want to point out, too, that returning to 11Q Melchizedek, that's what... Sorry, we did it at the same time.
Don't click on mine. There we go.
All right, okay. I won't. I'm so annoying. That's what this author is doing, not directly drawing from Deuteronomy 32. He's ignoring that text. He's focused in on Psalm 82, and he's adjusting that to provide clarity in distinction between El, the king of the gods, and this Melchizedek Yahweh figure, who is now not just pronouncing judgment on the gods in the council of Yahweh, but he's also breaking. There's a break in the council. between the forces of Belial and Melchizedek is keeping back some Elohim, some righteous Elim to fight alongside him, to do to help him in the annihilation of Belial. But there's one more text we need to talk about here, and that's Daniel chapter 7. And at this point, I'm going to just
While you do that,
share with you. Yeah,
so
this is a long one. I'm
someone
very
in the
sorry.
chat
Or it's
was
amazing. I don't know. You
asking.
decide.
Here we go. Yeah. So I was never here. Is asking what is Selah or what does it mean? And my favorite thing that I've read all week, Plonk Relic responds, Selah is like when Little John says "what" or "okay" at the end of a phrase, except instead of conveying crunkness, it's more reflective and spiritual.
I hope I do
love
got
that
the right. I do
so
got the right.
much.
That's awesome.
Thank you. It's so good. That sparked joy.
I have to go back to, I think, page 135 here. So for the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to look at, well, actually, yes. So the first thing I am going to do is not that, actually. I will drop that. I hope everyone is enjoying the stream. We lost a bunch because, you know, people can't hang on for ever. And
We also
and
kind
I'm
of nattered
I'm
for at
talking
least
a lot.
30 to 45 minutes before we properly started. So
I know. Sorry about that. That's my bad. But so I don't know. I listen.
hello,
I
viewers
talk a
in the
lot.
future watching on 1.5.
Yeah. So all right, we're going to look at this text from Daniel chapter 7 first, and I want you to think about this in the background, right? Reading Daniel chapter 7 against the backdrop of Psalm 82, of Deuteronomy 32, and now reading it in view also of what we see in 11Q Melchizedek. So here we go. This is my translation, and this is Daniel 7 verses 9 through 14. This is not the entire vision. These are the chunks that I think are especially pertinent to this discussion. It says, thrones were set down. The oldest of days sat down. His clothes were like snow white. His hair on his head was like pure wool. His throne was a blazing fire. Its wheels burned in fire. There's some of that Ezekiel chapter 1 imagery being pulled into there that we haven't even had a chance to talk about. A river of fire was flowing, pouring out from in front of him. Thousands were serving him. Many tens of thousands were standing in front of him. The court sat down, and the books were opened. This is a court scene, just like Psalm 82. Then I, Daniel, continued to watch, and then because of the sound of the vaunted words being spoken by the horn, I saw after this that the animal, he's just seeing this vision of these animals that emerged from the scene, but it's not really pertinent to what I want to focus in on in the scene here. I saw that the animal was killed and its body destroyed. It was consigned to the burning fire, and the dominion of the rest of the animals was taken away, but a prolonged life was given to them for a moment in time. I continued to watch in my night vision, and look, with the clouds of the sky, one, like a son of man, was coming. He was reaching out to the oldest of days and was presented in front of him. Dominion, honor, and kingship were given. Kingship were given to him. All people, nations, and tongues will serve him. His dominion is an eternal dominion which will not vanish. His kingdom is one that shall not be destroyed. Do you hear it? Can
good.
you see how much this is reflecting on these old texts in the background? Okay. So I want to, at this point, pause on that and look at a wonderful book written by Michael Siegel. Make sure I pull up the right one here. Oh, it is.
While you
it
do
is
that,
this one.
I will
Yep.
say that Tree Clam Tad came up with some good new lore for the Merkaba. Burning wheels are
Excellent.
God's Throne's version of the ground effect lighting on a Civic.
I like it.
Like street
That's
racing.
awesome.
So I asked if the Merkava has an exhaust, and Tree Clam Tad says whistle tips, but they sound like trumpets.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Good. Good.
All right. So we're just gonna read this, and this is from Michael Siegel's brilliant book published in 2016 by Walter de Gruyter. It's probably too expensive for most people to buy. It's like
it's de Gruyter.
180.
Of course it
de
is.
Gruyter. It's a terribly expensive book. The title of the book is Dreams, Riddles, and Visions: Textual, Contextual, and Intertextual Approaches to the Book of Daniel. Starting at page 135 here. And I will remind everybody that Daniel, the writer here, is writing in the middle of the 2nd century BCE. So Michael Siegel asks the question about who this figure is, this one like a man, which he makes an argument just up to this point that it's inappropriately translated as one like a son of man. He's like, it should just be one like a man, because the Aramaic expression there, baranosh, we know through all sorts of other literature just means human being. It's one like a man. What are the characteristics of the one like a man which assist in identifying him within the context of the heavenly vision? According to verse 13, he came with the heavenly clouds. This picture appears in a number of instances in the Bible, all with reference to Yahweh himself. Sing to God, chant hymns to his name, extol him who rides the clouds. Yahweh is his name. Exalt his presence. That's Psalm 68, verse 5. Psalm 104, verse 3. He, that is Yahweh, makes the clouds his chariot. He moves on the wings of the wind. Isaiah 19, verse 1, mounted on a swift cloud. Yahweh will come to Egypt. This biblical motif was almost certainly borrowed from Canaanite myth, in which this, I said with, didn't I? Canaanite myth, in which the same image was attributed to Baal. Baal was referred to as Rakav Arafat, cloud rider. In the following passage, whose significance for the comparative study of Daniel 7 has already been noted by Michael Wise. Indeed, I tell you, Prince Baal, I reiterate, O cloud rider, now your enemy Baal, now smash your enemy, now vanquish your foe, so assume your eternal kingship, your everlasting dominion. So Yam is dead. Baal reigns. The speaker in this passage is the craftsman Kotar Vahassis, who is encouraging Baal in his battle against Yam. The context of this battle is the struggle between the gods for kingship over the world, similar to the primary topic of Daniel chapter 7. The second parallel between the passage and Daniel 7 is also significant for the identification of the one like a man. Baal is the recipient of eternal kingship and everlasting dominion. This is almost identical to what the one like a man receives in Daniel chapter 7, verse 14. Dominion, glory, and kingship were given to him. They were also given to Melchizedek. All peoples and nations of every language must serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion. like Melchizedek's dominion, that shall not pass away, and his kingship one that shall not be destroyed. Who receives eternal dominion and kingship elsewhere in the book of Daniel? Interestingly, the language in the context of 7:14 parallels and overlaps that found in doxologies in the narrative half of the book. Here's a few. Daniel 7:14, dominion, glory, and kingship were given him. All peoples and nations of every language must serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that shall not pass away, and his kingship one that shall not be destroyed. Verse 27, kingship and dominion and grandeur belonging to all the kingdoms under heaven will be given to the people of Kadosh Elyonin. That's the holy ones of the
Using an Aramaic
very high ones.
plural.
Yeah, that's the Aramaic plural.
Yeah.
And it's literally kind of the very high holy ones. Their kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all the dominions shall serve and obey them. It's plural. It's interesting. But look at these narrative texts here.
Well, that makes sense to me because each one has their own fiefdom, I suppose. I often refer to them
Right.
as being region locked. So
Notice in what did Melchizedek, what innovation did the Melchizedek scroll introduce to the Psalm 82 passage? He's collecting other gods to work and fight alongside of him. I think that's significant also to this, right? Look at that. Look at the story of Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel chapter 3. King Nebuchadnezzar to all people and nations of every language that inhabit the whole earth. How great are his signs, how mighty his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion endures throughout the generations. Speaking of Yahweh. When the time, Daniel chapter 4, when the time had passed, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to the heaven, and my reason was restored to me. I blessed the Most High and praised the glorified and ever-living one, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and whose kingdom endures throughout the generations. Daniel chapter 6. Then King Darius wrote to all the peoples and nations of every language that inhabit the earth, for he is the living God who endures forever. His kingdom shall not be destroyed, and his dominion is to the end of time. The phrases common to these passages, such as the dominion of the dominion which reigns eternal, in 7:14 and verse 4 in chapter 4:31. Note the variant form, the kingdom, the kingdom which is established, that rules forever, shared by 7:27 and 3:33. And then all the peoples and every tongue in 7:14, 3:31, and 6:26. And the kingdom which shall not be destroyed in 7:14 and 6:27 demonstrate their interdependence. This shared language could be the result of the activity of a single author in all three spots, but more likely stems from a conscious attempt to draw a connection between chapter 7 and these earlier passages. In either case, these literary allusions point toward the identification of the one like a man in the vision of Daniel 7 with the subject of the doxologies in the previous chapters. Each figure receives an eternal kingdom and dominion over all of the nations of the world. The reuse of the language of the earlier chapters in relation to this figure, in addition to the use of the cloud writing motif, allows for a somewhat theologically radical suggestion. The one like a man is to be identified with Yahweh himself. Further evidence for this identification can perhaps be adduced from the heavenly chariot vision of Ezekiel 1, where Yahweh is depicted as sitting on a throne. And upon this semblance of the throne, there was the semblance of a human form. That was the semblance of the presence, the kavod Adonai, the glory, of Yahweh, verses 26 and 28. That vision, and especially the description of the divine figure sitting upon a throne, demonstrably inspired elements of the imagery of Daniel 7. While one cannot assume a direct equivalence of meaning between the symbols in each of these visions, it is telling that in Ezekiel 1, Yahweh is also depicted in human form. However, caution must be
Well.
exercised in this comparison. Although there does appear to be some relationship between the two visions, the complex of elements in the theological cultural background reflected in each one are different, and specific symbols might reflect different analogs in each case. So, Yahweh in the vision of Daniel 7 is the one who presents himself before the throne of the Ancient of Days, before El. This is the same thing that's taking place in Psalm 82. This is the same thing that's being riffed on in the 11Q Melchizedek scroll. Melchizedek, the king of righteousness, is Yahweh in the court of El, facing off against Belial and his lot in the company of his own gods to proclaim, to make the announcement to the captives of their release and victory, and to annihilate the forces of Belial. There's one more thing I want to draw some attention to here, and then we will finish up. And that's verses 26 and 27 in Daniel chapter 7. These great beasts, these four kingdoms, it's on the screen, right? The slide is on the screen. Yeah, it is. Okay, thanks. Will rise up from the earth, and the most high holy ones, that's the Kadoshi Elyonin, will receive the kingdom, and they will possess the kingdom forever without end. Then the court will sit, and they shall remove his dominion. That would be one of these other Elohim, perhaps, to be shattered and destroyed until the end. And the kingdom, dominion, and grandeur of all the kingdoms under the sky will be given to the people of the Most High, holy ones. His kingdom, I believe the people's kingdom, shall be an eternal kingdom. All dominion will be his, that is the people. They shall serve and obey. Now, Michael Seagal wants to see, this is where I disagree with him. He wants to see in this expression, most high holy ones, a plurality of majesty. He thinks that this is with reference to just to the Yahweh figure, the one like a man, the Melchizedek figure. But I think actually that 11Q Melchizedek helps to tease this out for us. I think this isn't just Melchizedek, the Yahweh figure. I think this is also the company of the gods who come to his aid. Remember, they're all working together here. So what are the broader implications of all of this? I've got some points to make here as we wrap up. Okay, here we go. The captives are the inheritance of Melchizedek, who will provide for the return in the 10th Jubilee. The Day of Atonement will fall at the end. The 10th Jubilee is the year of grace of Melchizedek. Maybe I should just start saying the King of Righteousness, because I don't believe this is necessarily a name. The 10th Jubilee is the year of grace of the King of Righteousness, the righteous King, the King of Righteousness, his armies, and the nation of the holy ones of God. Remember the plurality, the group of the gods who are coming to his aid. Recall Daniel 7, verses 18, 22, and 25. So who is Melchizedek? Who is the King of Righteousness? He stands and judges in the midst of the Elohim, in the council of El. He will judge the people from on high. He will carry out vengeance on Belial and the spirits who have turned aside from the commandments of El. The captives will be freed from the power of Belial. He will be assisted by the gods of justice. The prophets sustain the proclamation of the messenger. The messenger is the prince at the end of the 10 Jubilees who announces justice or peace or salvation or all of those things and instructs in the ages of the world. The King of Righteousness is the God of the sons of justice who will establish the covenant. He is the King of Righteousness who frees them from the power of Belial. Can it be any more clear than this? And with all of this now in the background, and I'm not going to talk about this at all, but I would ask everybody who sees this video, who has been listening to this presentation, to think a little bit more now on how to reflect on this in terms of what the New Testament is doing when it comes to Jesus, when it comes to the recontextualization again of the Melchizedek figure in the book of Hebrews. There will be more to come on this when I do my 2 powers presentation and video. But that's it for now.
Cool.
If we have anything more, you have any thoughts, Vish?
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking there's a possibility that within the broader pantheon, Yahweh's specific area of expertise was tzedek, tzedakah, justice or righteousness. So you have gods of war, gods of the weather, gods of healing. They all have their specific areas, and this one is his, which is why he's so obsessive about, for instance, kicking in the door of the divine council and go, "You're all failing at your job. You're slacking off. I thought you were gods."
We need to kill you.
He's like, "I thought y'all were gods. You're gonna die like mortals because you're just not doing anything. You're gonna just waste away, I guess." So that's his area. And you have the other gods who have their specific, I guess, areas of focus, but whatever it is, over their people, Yahweh felt like they're slacking, they're dropping the ball. And, he's called the righteous king or whatever, because that's his specific area. So, that's
awesome.
I'm kind of turning over in my brain.
But, and I got to say, the one thing, something that you said in this stream, which I think is pretty awesome, that I believe deserves further reflection and exploration, is this idea that maybe, and I think the writer of the book of Genesis is writing in the Second Temple period. A lot of these stories, I think these Abraham stories are being written in the Second Temple period. Is that what's going on? Is the writer of Genesis and the writer of the story of Abraham, does he think that this is Yahweh? Right? Why not? Why not? Yahweh comes and visits Abraham again. Yahweh comes and visits Hagar. Yahweh walked around in the garden. Just why not? Why
Why not?
the hell not?
I mean, for Pete's sake, other kings would specifically call on their god to go into battle before them. Like, hey, jump in there and like clear the board for me. And if it's not going their way, snap, I gotta activate this god. Something's not going my way. I'm gonna offer up my kid. It's the only thing I have left.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more, I think, going on the way that people interact with their gods than we tend to give them credit for, because we don't interact with our gods this way as a general rule in the West. And we tend to think of people activating deities this way. Oh, that's pagan. That's polytheism. That's, we don't do that. But I mean, that's a very common thing. It's like, oh, if you need this, call Aphrodite. If you need this thing, call Anat. If you need whatever this is, hit up Ares. That's your guy, So I suspect that we miss some of this because we're so used to hearing just Christian hegemonic theology that we just goes right past us.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Vishanti.
He's the god of sweet rides. That's right.
I had to pull this up again just because I started this lecture with this question, and I'll finish it with this. What claims did Carrier make about this exactly? Carrier said that Melchizedek is the divine Messiah who will die, and his death will make atonement for the sins of the world. Fucking nonsense. There is nothing remotely close to that anywhere within this manuscript, and it's I don't know. I mean, on its own, I think that's enough to pretty effectively invalidate most of what Richard Carrier says regarding the Jewish background of
you would
Christianity.
Think somebody that's so into mythicism and this is just copying or plagiarizing or riffing on other polytheistic ideas, that he would absolutely not leave out the divine council. That's bro, that's your area, right? Oh, well, this sounds like Dionysus. Well, that sounds like Bacchus. Well, this sounds like so and so. Why aren't you doing that with this? Whatever.
Can't wait to get some Melchizedek blood. All right. Okay.
Is that Melchizedek was probably an antediluvian? Is that going to get you to lower your generation?
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Fair part of the
thank you, everyone, for coming out and sticking around this long. This is I've done a 4-hour stream before. We're not quite there. This has been a really long one. But I'm excited. What can I say? I really love this text. I love this topic. If this is something that interests you, I encourage you to maybe sign up for CJ Cornthwaite's reading group, because I will be there next week on the 23rd of April at 11 o'clock Pacific. And we're going to look at the Aramaic Son of God text, which is very similar to what we were talking about today in 11Q Melchizedek. So just to remind everybody, Budget Scripture Saturday is tomorrow night with Dr. Tapioca Weasel, Nitty, me, and my finger. And
which is
Vish
happening,
and I,
apparently.
It's happening. It's feeling like
According to Dave.
You know what? Look, Dr. Josh has a beard, but I have this. So, I needed a sidekick too. So Budget Scripture Saturday is tomorrow night. Vish and I will be back on with Dapper Dinosaur to do something fucking ridiculous.
Talking about the forbidden language of the
I wasn't on last week, was I? I missed it.
No, you were not.
I think so this is fun. Okay. So I will be there. We will both be there at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. And then next week, the birthday stream, the 23rd of April at 2 o'clock in the
Hooray!
afternoon, I will be here with Dr. Jordan Jones, and we will be talking about the
Oh.
reception.
There's a couple super chats we missed.
Oh, no.
Holy
Okay.
crap.
The reception history of Phinehas.
Pinchas, Ninjuster for 2, the face on your finger better have nice hair. Or have hair. Nice cut.
Don't know.
Cloud Simeon for 5. This is about an earlier stream. Does naming a thing like Adam naming animals and Chava indicate authority over them or just evangelical misogyny?
Oh, no, that's I believe that's a thing. So it's a and I would say that you actually see this most clearly in Genesis chapter 1. When it says that Elohim speaks things into existence, it literally says that he calls to, he makes the thing, right? It then says that he calls to it and actually bestows upon it a name, a function. That's a big part of what naming does, is it's declaring your place in the world, in the cosmos. And when people do that, it's effectively exercising that same level of chutzpah. So
and welcome,
yay,
Trails
Trails Above. Welcome.
Can now use the
I'm gonna do
emojis
something
and
one of these days for
Davis.
members. So, but in the meantime, use your emojis, and you can go back and look at commercial-free versions of all my videos, which are pretty great. So, all right, time to get out of here. You got anything else coming up, Vish, or did we cover it all?
I think we covered it all. It's mostly just me being like waist deep in colonial era manuscripts and going through that whole thing. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'm going to get. I know the intro was an absolute shit show, but we're gonna get this right. Okay. So, as always, be good, stay safe,
be excellent to each other.
Ha tikva.